Will you, pal?
They need a wake-up call.
Someday this country's gonna wake up.
Wake up and smell the coffee.
So, Mark, earlier this week, you celebrated, birthday number 5 for Addie, was that correct?
Birthday number 5 for Emma.
Birthday
yeah.
5 for Emma. Shout out today, the 4th birthday for one Rosie Bowen. So, happy birthday to Rosie Bowe. Will I always remember her birthday as the day that Joey Chestnut was banned from the hot dog eating contest?
Is that how it's going to be remembered from now on?
Now, you
fly the flag at half-mast.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You texted the GOAT last night.
Yeah, excuse me. I've reached out.
And you're choked up about it emotionally.
I'm very sad. I've reached out, no response as of yet. I assume he's being hammered by interview requests and whatnot. So I've not heard back from Mr. Joey Jaws, but the line is out there.
That is a Westfield resident, Joey Chestnut, correct?
Uh-huh.
Hamilton County's finest on that end.
Has 4th of July been ruined now? I feel like it kind of
literally, what do you do now? I guess we just celebrate America instead of watching one of the great, I would say arguably the greatest athlete of our lifetime compete with that. We'll hit on that at some point today. Good Wednesday morning to you. Obviously, that is the voice of Mark Dykton. Myself, Kevin Bowen, Corbin Lingenfelter on the ones and twos. And we've got a guest host today in via one of our charity guest host spots. He is the one and only Bill Kennedy. Bill, good to see you, man.
Thank you, guys. Honored to be here.
Bill, you are a unapologetic, diehard IU basketball fan. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. Fired up to talk IU basketball today.
Tony Adr going to join us at 8, so looking forward to that. Again, we'll continue our round college basketball. We did Purdue yesterday. We'll have Nick Gardner talking a little Butler with us tomorrow. Certainly been a lot of change there in Bloomington with what they look like roster-wise. So, Bill, we appreciate you being in studio. I guess we'll, again, continue to spray to a lot of different fields. Game 3 tonight, that is an 8:30 tip. Tons of injury news items exiting Boston these first 2 games in this series. Dallas is a 2.5-point favorite heading into tonight. The Fever back in action tomorrow. And a tease right here, we will give away a 4-pack of tickets to the Fever and the Atlanta Dream. Lin Dunn going to join us at 9. I'm curious the mood for the one and only Lin Dunn at 9 o'clock
She's
today.
usually very peppy, very energetic, but the Fever have not had that energy translate on the court. So it'll be curious to see how she feels right now. Not only with the record, but also, all the outside noise with Caitlin Clark and everything like that. So very curious the mood that Lin Dunn is in when we talk to her at 9.
Do that at the end of the Lin Dunn interview. Bill, you said you've taken the family to a Fever game or two?
Oh, yeah. Went to the first game. It was awesome, and I got to start out with this. It's a total travesty that Caitlin Clark wasn't selected for the Olympic team. She's one of the best 12 players in the WNBA, and she would have represented all of us in our city well. I can't believe she wasn't chosen. Those European players should have to try to guard a player like Caitlin Clark on the Olympic stage. I can't imagine how good she would have looked with great players around her, hitting logo threes, laying it up around the rim, averaging over 10 assists a game. It's absolutely ridiculous that the WNBA and this committee did not choose her for the Olympic team.
We will play an audio clip here in a bit. Jennifer Rosati, the president of Connecticut Sun, she was in charge, I think a committee of like 5 or 6 people in charge of selecting the U.S. Olympic team. I guess that official announcement came yesterday, now that I think about it. All the days kind of run together at this point. I actually thought her explanation was pretty good on a little detail around why Caitlin Clark wasn't chosen. So, again, we'll play that clip coming up. Good news. Did you happen to see what the Atlanta Dream did last night?
I saw they lost.
Are we not up to date with our Atlanta Dream?
No.
Night in, night out games?
I can't say we are.
Yeah, Mark, you have a life with your bachelor pad right now?
At the moment, yeah. I was doing a bunch of household stuff.
The Atlanta Dream lost by 19 to the winless Mystics last night. So I bring that up to say, now or never with the Fever? Like, if you look at their next 5 games, it's the 3 teams right above them in the East standings, and I guess Washington technically is just below them. So it's the 3 teams right around them. Atlanta, you've got the Chicago Sky and all the fireworks that will inevitably come with Angel Reese and Kennedy Carter back inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse Sunday. Then again, you've got the Mystics, and you'll play the Dream in the Sky again. So as we start to approach the Olympic break for the WNBA, if they can't get it done now, Do we have a hashtag for Paige Beckers? Bottom out for Beckers?
That's going to be the case because, yeah, it is put up or shut up time with these next 5 games. I think Tony East said it might be the most important stretch of the season upcoming, so this is it. We've trailed as much as, we have so far. It'd be nice to get some gelling going and all that stuff. So, yeah, time to start putting some wins together. String some wins together, please.
Anything specific you want to go, Tony Adr-wise? I always enjoy when Tony joins us. Again, he is, former coach, kind of the film guru, if you will, and I think just gives a really level-headed, and I feel like he shares his opinions quite well on where Indiana's at. Certainly, again, a ton of roster overhaul. Anything specific you want to ask Tony later today?
I feel like the IU season last year was one of the more frustrating ones, probably for fans, just because it seemed like every game it was just, are we going to pull this out or what's going on here? Now all of a sudden there's a little bit of expectations. I'm seeing experts say, oh, this upcoming class is pretty good. They could challenge for a Big Ten title. So where are we at with the expectations? Because I know a lot of people were fed up with Mike Woodson and team last year, but now that they've kind of overhauled everything, where are we at there?
Bill?
Looking at IU and Purdue, they're going about it 2 different ways. Purdue's bringing in a bunch of freshmen. IU's bringing in 1 5-star freshman and 5 transfers.
I kind of forgot about the Bryson Tucker kid.
Right, McDonald's All-American. It's different at IU and Purdue. IU recruits pros, Purdue recruits Joes, and now IU's starting to get
Joes that play in the first week of April.
Players in the transfer portal that are just unbelievable. So I would like to hear from Tony. What does he expect out of these transfers who are coming in, who are expected to start from day one?
Again, Tony Adr, you're going to join us coming up at 8. And as we inch closer to the U.S. swim trials, 4-pack of tickets we'll continue to give away. So, again, back into that Lin Dunn interview at 9, that Fever 4-pack, and then coming up for the pop quiz, the U.S. swim trial, swim pack. Mark, I'm a little intimidated by the 7:45 guest.
Yeah, Zack Apple, 2-time gold medalist.
Now, he is an endorser of Speedo.
Yeah. I don't think you and I are getting that sponsorship anytime soon.
I've been asked to do hair loss. I haven't been asked to do Speedo endorsing. Is there a reason why?
Well, I mean, you did take your shirt off at one point with Michael Shrewsbury, so I can imagine that the Speedo company was like, that's not a body for us. Same would go for me. Dad bod in full effect. So, yeah, they're not looking at us for Speedo representation.
Zack Apple, a tall-looking fellow with quite the six-pack.
Quite the physique, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
U.S. Olympian, gold medalist, 2-time gold medalist. He's going to join us coming up 7:45.
Just recently retired, too. I think he's only 27 years old, too. That must be nice.
A lot of IU flavor, which I know makes Bill very happy here on the show. Coming up, an IU product. And, again, he is going to join us coming up at 7:45. I literally thought, when I saw the headline yesterday, I thought the Chestnut news was an Onion article.
I thought so, too. Yeah.
Okay, so fill in our listeners, Mark, because you love Joey Chestnut as much as I do.
Yes.
Again, I call him one of the greatest, if not the greatest athletes of our generation. We have been lucky to have his presence in studio. I distinctly remember texting him, asking him for advice when I took on Mark in the shrimp eating contest down on Georgia Street right before the Colts game. Safe to say the advice was sound. The execution of the advice was not on my end. Mark, congrats on your title there.
The title is right across the hall. I can go get it if
you have it on your desk. So Joey Chestnut. Now, honestly, I'm more shocked by the reasoning. He's gone vegan on us. Is
apparently,
this right?
So that was the big confusion because I'm like, banned for what? What exactly happened? But I guess obviously the hot dog eating contest is sponsored by Nathan's. And Joey Chestnut has signed a sponsorship deal with Impossible Foods, a company that makes plant-based hot dogs and is a competing company with Nathan's. So I guess they attempted to try to come to some resolution. It didn't happen. And now the 16-time champ Joey Chestnut will not be competing in the annual 4th of July event. I'm gutted. That is no way to start off your 4th of July.
Whose side are you on? Are you on Nathan's or are you on Joey?
Boy, I don't know. At first, I'm kind of like, I mean...
This is more refreshing than our Caitlin Clark debates.
I mean, honestly, what is the... Without Joey Chestnut, what's the point of having the event, quite honestly? You're trying to see...
Did Nathan's make Joey Chestnut? Would we know Joey Chestnut if it weren't for the hot dog eating contest?
Well, I think Kobayashi was the one that kind of started that, and then Joey Chestnut came in and was
we
the
need
American
Kobayashi.
representation.
As bad as the PGA Tour needs the live golfers back, boy, Nathan's needs Kobayashi.
Yeah, he just retired too, I guess. So unless they're gonna throw some cash his way and get him out of retirement, I don't know if that's happening anytime soon. But yeah, I feel like if Joey Chestnut is not in this event on July 4th, basically just put an asterisk up, and it's the battle for second best eater, no matter who wins.
Now, do you remember when he choked out the protester?
Yeah.
Was that last year or 2 years ago?
It was, yeah, well, last year I think was like a weather delay or something, and they were originally going to do it indoors, and he said, no, we're doing it outdoors. We're waiting this rain out, and they ended up doing it. Maybe that was they also choked out. Maybe it was a double dip. Maybe he did that as well. I don't recall.
Joey Chestnut has sent out this statement. I was gutted to learn from the media that after 19 years, I'm banned from the Nathan's July 4th hot dog eating contest. I love competing in this event. I love celebrating America with my fans all over this great country on the 4th, and I've been training to defend my title. To set the record straight, I do not have a contract with Major League Eating or Nathan's, and they are looking to change the rules from past years as it relates to other partners I could work with. This is apparently the basis on which I'm being banned, and it doesn't impact the July 4th event. Sadly, this is the decision that Nathan's and Major League Eating are making, and it will deprive the great fans of the holiday's usual joy and entertainment. To my fans, I love you and appreciate you. Rest assured that you'll see me eat again. Stay hungry.
I also like that Impossible Foods said they support Joey Chestnut, and then said meat eaters shouldn't have to be exclusive to just one wiener. I like that call. Also, I think Joey Chestnut, if he, maybe this is a little competing thing, he should do a live stream as the Nathan's hot dog eating contest is going on, and he could, chow down as many as he wants, and therefore see if the actual winner would have kept up with him.
I actually like the thought of that.
Yeah, do it.
So we'll see as we are waiting to try and get Caitlin Clark on the show. I guess we're also waiting to try and get Joey Chestnut on the show.
Who responds first? Let's find out.
They both were in the building, right? Saturday at the Indians game?
Yeah.
Did I see that?
Them and Rowdy, yeah.
Did I see that correct? Colts front, you had an item you wanted to get to today, Mark?
So, yeah, we've obviously, the Michael Pittman Jr. contract extension has happened. And one thing I wanted to discuss with you is who is the next big contract that is on the Colts, future plans. There's some big names out there the next couple seasons. Who's the next big contract decision for Chris Ballard and company? There's a couple of big names out there. I'm curious to get your thoughts of who you think that could be. There's some offensive line guys out there. There's a couple wide receivers. There's some other positions, some corners, some secondary. Curious to get your thoughts on where exactly you think the next big money contract is coming on this Colts roster.
You see the state of Indiana hero working out for the Pacers today?
Who's that?
I assume Bill probably did a standing ovation for this human back during the NCAA tournament.
Right. The three-point shooter from up in Michigan. What school is that?
Lord Golke.
Golke.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Jack Golke on the workout list for the Pacers. Am I seeing this right? Tyson Walker, Michigan State? There's no way he's an NBA guy, is he? A little guard?
Well, when you've got 3 second-round picks, I guess you got to kind of spray to all fields and see what's going on. I like Jack Golke a lot. I think he's one of the older prospects, right? We discussed that before. He was kind of like a...
Oh, yeah, he's as old as us.
He's up there. What is his age? Let's find out. It's something crazy. He was almost 30, I think.
Jack Golke from Oakland, Tyson Walker, Michigan State, a couple other forwards and guards. Again, it's been a pretty nondescript workout list for the Pacers so far. So that will be their third draft workout on that end.
Jack Golke only 24. That's not so bad, but for a guy about to go pro.
Well, and
hopefully.
we thought maybe we grow hair Indy for him, right?
Yeah.
we didn't think Speedo necessarily for us, but on that end, I got one more Obi Toppin thought on that. Bill, we hit on that yesterday. You a bring back Obi Toppin guy, or you worried about stunting Jarris Walker?
Whew, that's a tough one. But, what I like about this roster the most is that we have a lot of tradable assets. Like, we have a lot of really good players, different ages, who all can put the ball in the basket. Obviously, defense and rebounding weren't our strengths this year. But I'd bring them all back, including Obi Toppin, run it back for 30 games, see how it goes, then decide if you want to trade off a couple of pieces. Teams are going to want our guys, and as we saw at the end of this postseason, we were playing good basketball, so I would like to bring back Obi.
Mark, who was that we had? Gosh, my mind is everywhere today. Who was that we had on earlier that kind of brought that up of just run it back till the trade deadline and reassess things?
Was that Gil McGregor?
Yeah, it might have been Gil earlier. Yeah, Corbin's nodding his head over there. Yeah. I know that's something that I guess I just don't really keep top of mind, but, to Bill's point, I guess it makes a little bit of sense. Because, when you think about the NBA trade deadline, too, it's so late in the year. It's not at that halfway point. So, honestly, 30 games is more like 50-some, borderline 60. So is that something you could explore there on that end. Again, to me, the Toppin thing is so Walker-centric. And I know they're not certainly the same player or even really thought to be, but they would positionally, I think they play something similar. So I'll be curious to see how that item unfolds. We had a couple tweets after the show from listeners that had gone back and listened to it. And, Royce was expressing a little bit of in this market, you're not in a position to let good players walk for nothing. I think that's a little too big of a compliment to Obi Toppin, and I think that's a little bit discrediting the Pacers with Tyrese Halliburton. So I want to make sure we hit on that at some point. I've probably been a little bit more in the Halliburton is going to attract people camp. I'm a believer in that. I think the Olympic experience will only entice that even more. But exactly how that looks will be something to keep an eye on. So a lot to get to here on this Wednesday morning. Thank you for spending it with us. Again, we will give away a 4-pack of tickets. Fever and Dream. That is a 7 o'clock tip tomorrow night. Fever an early slight underdog in that one. But if the Dream are losing to the Mystics by 19, this means the Fever should win this game.
Well, hopefully that's the case, and it wasn't like this was the wake-up call that the Dream needed, and now all of a sudden they're going to come out tomorrow with all kinds of vengeance in their eyes. Let's hope not.
He is Mark Dykton. I'm Kevin Bowen. Corbin on the ones and twos. We've got Charity, Phil, and host Bill, who has already dropped and I saw Derek in the YouTube chat goes, IU recruits pros and Purdue recruits Joes is about the dumbest thing you'll hear all day. So an early comment on that and there. Yeah, I guess probably a little search of the IU NCAA tournament Wikipedia page history here over recent years would probably back that statement up, Derek. So thank you for that. Bill, thanks for joining us. It is the wake-up call right here on the Circle, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
107.5 The Fan, your home for indie sports. Now with even more ways to listen.
All right, coming up in a bit, we will continue our rundown around the state of Indiana. That is our various college basketball updates. We did Purdue yesterday with Brian Newbert. We'll do Indiana today, coming up with Tony Adr. Mark Dykton, go ahead and lead us off here. Morning checkdown.
Well, we've got game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight. Can the Dallas Mavericks get back in this series and make it interesting? They are going to take on the Boston Celtics. Kristaps Porzingis has a rare leg injury. Questionable for game 3, despite them saying it's like a tear. And
can you pronounce that medical term?
Torn medial retinaculum.
Yeah, I'm not going to try.
Dislocation. It says that surgery is likely the solution. So how are you game-to-game decision? That seems like he's out for the series, if you ask me.
A 2.5-point favorite certainly doesn't sound good. 8:30 tip as that series shifts to Dallas. Boston 6-0 on the road in the playoffs. Does that continue?
I need Dallas to win because this NBA Finals is kind of boring. Do you think? I feel like the time off has totally killed any like buzz for this series. Am I wrong there?
You mean the time off like from the conference finals to the NBA finals?
The long gap. Like the game 1 ratings were super down. Game 2 was better, but I don't feel like there's that much buzz for this NBA Finals.
We could use a Luka or Kyrie injection of life here in this series to get things back on track. Again, that is 8:30 tonight on ABC. All right, the Pacers, they've got a draft workout coming up today. Again, this is draft workout number 3. The hero of the state of Indiana. They honestly should put the statue next to Peyton Manning of Jack Golke for what he did in the NCAA tournament. Is Jack Golke really... Is he going to be on an NBA roster, or is that a ludicrous thought?
I don't think it's that crazy because, I mean, we went to the Horizon League game that he was playing in at the fairgrounds, and he was draining threes left and right. So, I mean, there is a need for that kind of shooting in the NBA. So I could totally see him being like a role guy somewhere on a roster.
We've got guest hosts, courtesy of some charity action. Bill in studio. Bill, are you a Golke in the NBA? One of the 15 roster spots?
I think that's a stretch. I think Golke transferred in from a D2 school. And
they were in U-Indies.
U-Indies conference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Obviously, was a prolific three-point shooter at the D2 level, but he just really can't do anything other than shoot the ball off the move. I can't see it. I wish him the best. Him beating Kentucky was one of the highlights of my year in 2023. Thank you, Jack, but I don't think you have much of a shot in the NBA, brother.
I thought you were going to say life, frankly, as an IU fan with that. Greg Campy, Lord Campy, the head coach of the Oakland, Grizzly Bears. So, yes, it's a pretty nondescript group here working out for the Pacers outside of that.
Our baseball teams collectively suck, Kev. The Cubs blew one late. Big shocker there to the Rays. The Reds lost to the Guardians. Cardinals lost, but they gave a standing ovation to Paul Skeens.
How about Skeens last night?
He was outstanding.
Strikes out 8 and 6 1/3, scatters 5 hits with no runs.
That's pretty good. That's worthy of a standing ovation. So that was good. Brewers also lost. White Sox all lost. And then the Indianapolis Indians lost to the Jumbo Shrimp 2-1 to fall 10 games under 500.
And you've done a standing ovation for Paul Skeens, a significant other. Before?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan.
On that end.
Yeah.
Nothing says the Colts like making an announcement for an announcement. Yesterday they announced, we will announce the training camp schedule on June 26th. Would it be such a crime to let families maybe plan out what Grand Park could look like for them and maybe announce it a little bit ahead of time?
Well, you know, the NFL these days, they have to make announcements for announcements. So, yeah, I mean, the schedule release is coming in 1 week. And okay, all right, now let's wait for the week. And then, yeah. So I'm not surprised. They're trying to draw this out as much as possible. I feel like we've already got the joint practice schedule.
Yeah, so we do have,
we have that. I feel like that's going to be the big ticket item anyway to see the Cardinals come to town.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Mark. August 14th and 15th, those are 6 o'clock practice times
that's
against the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think camp will be over after that. They'll play Arizona inside of Lucas Oil Stadium Saturday night, August 17th, and then they go to Cincy for a joint practice that early next week. That would be August 20th. So if you are trying to map out a potential camp schedule for the Colts, I would guess July 24th, 25th-ish is when they'll start, and then probably break camp. It might be that final practice with Arizona, maybe the 16th of August on that end. So keep an eye on that. I think that's probably everything I've got. Again, we talked about it to lead off the show. Lord Chestnut, free jaws. Joey Chestnut will not be in the Nathan's Eden hot dog eating contest on July 4th.
Yeah, that one's a crime. Like I said, maybe do a counter live stream to go against the hot dog eating
I think
contest.
that's a good idea.
Yeah, that kind of just came to me. So maybe that's a good idea. Maybe counter-program that a little bit. The other one is John Rahm out of the U.S. Open. Did you see that?
Yeah, left foot infection. Is that right?
And, between that and then Rory McIlroy, divorce called off. They've reconciled, so good for them. So congratulations,
Is that
Rory.
good for his golf?
I guess we'll find out, right?
Yeah. Well, we'll get Tiger Woods' thoughts on that.
You are counting down to 7:20 tomorrow morning.
Has some history on that, and I cannot wait to see Eldrick on the first tee at Pinehurst. All right, on the other side, why did they not put Caitlin Clark on the Olympic team? We have heard from Team USA. We'll play that audio. And again, guest-wise, we'll have Zack Apple, a U.S. Olympic swimmer, recently retired, but former Olympian, former gold medalist. He's going to join us coming up. And Tony Adr talking IU and that overhaul down there for Mike Woodson's bunch at 8 o'clock. Thanks for spending this Wednesday morning with us. This is the Wake Up Call, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Yankees, Red Sox.
7-5, The Fan.
This is top 10, right?
Oh, easily.
We talked about this yesterday, top 10 sports themes. This has got to be top 10 for both of us.
Easily. Oh, yeah, it'd be top 5 for me. The reason Corbin is queuing that up, in about 10 minutes, we'll have Olympic gold medalist Zack Apple, IU grad. He is going to be a part of promoting what we've got coming up starting Saturday inside of Lucas Oil Stadium, the U.S. Swim Trials. So we will do that here in about 10. Again, Tony Adr as we make our trip around the state, getting some updates college basketball-wise. Focused on Purdue yesterday. We'll do IU coming up here at 8. Mark, certainly a popular topic earlier this week was Caitlin Clark being left off the U.S. Women's Olympic team on that end. And yesterday we did hear from Team USA on the why behind it. Who you're about to hear is Jennifer Rosati, who is the president of the Connecticut Sun, and she was, I guess, a spokesperson for about a 5 to 6 person committee that, again, was in charge of selecting the team. And this was her explanation. It's about a little over a minute long, but I thought the full explanation was needed here in explaining why Caitlin Clark was not one of the 12 chosen for Paris.
Obviously, I want today to mostly be the players that made the team, but there's no avoiding the conversation around who didn't. So I'm happy to address it. I think obviously we know the success that Caitlin had in college, and she's had a tremendous start to the WNBA season so far. And we feel like she's been a part of the USA basketball family, and we certainly hope that she will continue to be a part of that in the future. But, essentially it was the committee's job to pick the 12 that, based on our selection criteria, and, they're as much as you want to maybe make conversation around how we should have considered TV viewership or jersey sales or popularity. That wasn't the purview of the committee to have those discussions. The selection criteria were very clear, made very clear to us. And so eventually, we had to block out some of that outside noise. And it was a hard decision for a lot of players that didn't make the team. And so I feel like out of respect for the entire pool, I want to make note of the fact that there was a lot of women that committed their time in past Olympics and past World Cups, and enormous amount of camps where they made sacrifices to be there that didn't make this team. And so there was a lot of players that were tough to leave off the team. And I think that's why it was important for our committee to hone in on the criteria that we were given and make this about basketball. And I know a lot of men that pay attention to women's basketball, and I would hope that the journey that this team is about to take and the unprecedented amount of success that they've had is story enough for people to want to follow it and to market it and to pay attention to these extraordinary 12 women that are going to be representing us this summer in Paris.
Mark, thoughts on that explanation there? Jennifer Rosati, again, the president of the Connecticut Sun.
I mean, it makes sense, that they have the 12 in the again, we've discussed this earlier in the week that, there's no one under the age of 26 on this roster, so it's not wild that they took other rookies. She was one that was left off. No, I mean, there's nobody under the age of 26 on this roster. I'm fine with her not making it. Again, she's played almost a 12-month cycle of basketball. If she can get a month break and kind of reset her body, that's fine. I'm glad that they're not taking in like jersey sales and all that stuff into account. If they think that they have the best 12 on the roster and they have a veteran group that obviously has a really good record in the Olympics, then go with that. Caitlin Clark will be in the Olympics probably in the next cycle, and she will be a perennial Olympian going forward. If she misses the first one as a rookie, I'm okay with it.
We have diehard Fever fan charity guest host Bill in studio with us here. Bill, you expressed earlier a strong amount of displeasure for Caitlin Clark being left off.
Right. Guys, I played the game. Played basketball in high school, led Bishop Chatard to beat Cathedral at Cathedral in 2012. And it comes down to this. The best 12 players should have made the Olympic team, and Caitlin Clark is one of the best 12 players in the WNBA. She's a playmaker. You watch her in these WNBA games on the Fever, playing with her teammates, making them better, getting them better shots, throwing a bunch of assists, making logo threes. Picture that with an Olympic team around her. This Olympic team is already winning every game by 20 to 30 points. With Caitlin out there, with these European women having to guard her all the way at half court, it would have opened the whole floor for everyone else, made it easier, made wins even bigger. And at the end of the day, Caitlin Clark is one of the 12 best players in the WNBA. Yeah, she's playing on a team that has a lot of room to grow right now, but you put her on one of those good teams, and she'd be MVP right now.
I actually respect Rosati's answer of the viewership angle to it. I'm not in this camp like the Olympics are some entertainment thing. Like, I mean, if it was entertainment, then Team USA should pick Tiger Woods to be on the U.S. Olympic team for golf. And, I mean, hell, Mark, I didn't think we get 2 references in, but you'd probably tune into gymnastics a little bit longer if Linn Dunn was on the USA team, right?
Yeah, probably.
On that. And is Clark one of the 12 best players?
Well, I'm curious who
right now. Is that definite?
I don't know.
Because that's, I guess, my question. I think there was some debate about Chelsea Gray from the Aces. She's been banged up. You know, she's a point guard. Rosati said yesterday, very adamant that she will be healthy for the Olympics. And it didn't sound like, I know there's been a little discussion about this. This does not sound like Caitlin Clark on the alternate list is going to be traveling to Paris or anything like that. So I think that's the debate that's rooted in of no U.S. senior team experience. Again, we talked about it yesterday when she was in the Final Four this year. That was when Team USA had a camp. Is she one of the 12 best players in the WNBA right now?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm looking at this roster who you're taking off the roster to replace Caitlin Clark with. But I do get kind of like, I could see why people would like to see her. You almost get kind of like an Isaiah Thomas 1992 Dream Team vibe where he was left off and there was some talk like, well, did Michael Jordan like get in someone's ear and make sure Isaiah Thomas wasn't on the Dream Team roster? Were other players like, yeah, we're okay without Caitlin Clark? Did they get to the Team USA, coaches and everything and say we'd be better off not having her on our roster right now? That's, I'm sure, some fodder that can be out there, but again, I'm okay with her taking a month off to kind of reset her body and get set for the last half of this Fever season.
I mean, they haven't lost Olympic Games since '92.
Right.
Which is absolutely absurd. I get there is an element of passing the torch, to the younger generation. To Bill's point, they have thoroughly dominated these teams. Now, Jennifer Rosati would counter and say, if you look at the last couple of years, it's starting to trend a little bit in the direction that we saw with the men, probably a little over a decade ago, where it's like, all right, you're still winning, but the gap is really, really shrinking on that. Again, she just needs the rest so freaking bad. Because when you map out the calendar, Kinnick Stadium, she was in a football stadium playing a game against DePaul on October 15th last fall. And if the Fever somehow get their act together, which is probably the bigger miracle, and make any sort of run to the playoffs, that's going to bleed into October.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 12 straight months. When LeBron and Melo and Wade, when they were on the Olympic team in 2004, if you look at the draft in 2003, that's a summer draft. You still have a multiple month break until LeBron and Melo and Wade all played their first NBA season. Then obviously that ends in the spring period. If I'm not mistaken, I think several of them did not make the playoffs. So it's not like they had a run leading up to the Olympics. It's like Tyrese Halliburton right now, but longer. Halliburton still has this 6-week break on it. So I actually sit here and respect the Olympic Committee not doing the easy layup. The easy layup is to put her on the team and get all the viewers and do all of that. That to me is the easy move here. And the fact that they didn't opt for that and stuck with kind of the basketball core specific, I actually think Caitlin Clark would sit back on that, and even she would say, I kind of respect that. As much as I think I might be one of the 12 best, the fact that they made this decision purely about basketball, I think is fair.
Yeah, and we're 2028. She'll be on the Olympic team along with like Angel Reese and everything. There'll be a wave of young
mania, Los Angeles for the 28 Olympics.
There will be a wave of young talent on this upcoming Team USA roster because you've got, again, the youngest is 26 years old in Sabrina Ionescu. You got Diana Taurasi, who's 42. She won't make it to the next Olympics. Alyssa Thomas is in her mid-30s by the time that's going on. So there's going to be a wave of like a youth movement on this Team USA that will have a Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and all that stuff. So I am not worried at all. I will take the break happily for her and let her rest a little bit, get some rest and relaxation, and then attack it in 2028.
Like I said earlier, I think Caitlin's one of the 12 best players. Do we really need to see Diana Taurasi play for the Olympic team at 42 years old for the 6th time? I really don't think we do.
Do you say that about LeBron with the men?
I do say that nowadays about LeBron with the men. I bet LeBron would rather have his son play on the team than have himself.
That might be a requirement going forward.
Last thing I'll say on this, WNBA, officials, league office, stop allowing Caitlin to get hacked every single time down the court without calling it. These body checks, these hand checks, call the fouls, and she'll average 30 points a game like she should. Thank you.
That is charity guest host Bill. We will now head to the Payless Liquors hotline. We played the Olympic theme entering this segment, and he is a gold medalist. He's also an IU product. And on behalf of Speedo, Zack Apple joining us early on this Wednesday morning. Zach, is it just nature to wake up this early, and does it feel any better not having to be in a pool at this hour?
Yeah, it certainly is pretty familiar to be up around this time, and it does feel nice to not be diving in the pool. Nice to be getting ready at home instead of diving in the cold water.
All right, Zach, little background for our listeners out there. Again, you are a two-time gold medalist in the Tokyo Games a few years ago. Just recently retired, though. Walk us through that announcement and that decision.
Yeah, so after the games, I swam for another year and kind of got to the end of that year, and I was like, I don't know if I have the drive to really put in what it's going to take to be the best in the world still. Got the 2 golds, got the finished the goal, and so was ready to step away, but still super involved in the sport. Still love swimming, and am happy to be around it still.
Two-time gold medalist Zack Apple joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline. Zach, have you gotten a chance to see Lucas Oil Stadium with the Olympic pool in there? And what's it like having the Olympic trials in Indiana?
It's awesome. I mean, yeah, I was there on, I think, last Thursday, and it's incredible. I mean, it's a sight to behold for sure. And it's awesome that it's going to be in Indianapolis. I mean, Indianapolis is made for hosting events. They're so good at it. Georgia Street's going to be all done up. It's going to be awesome. The convention center is going to be filled to the brim with all the expo stuff, and so it should be an awesome event.
We're going to have hundreds of athletes coming here in the next couple of weeks to do this. Describe the stress level that goes into these Olympic trials and what some of these athletes are going to be going through in preparations.
Certainly. I mean, it's going to be unlike any of the past trials because there's almost twice as many fans in the stands. And so, going through those routines and having done all this training leading up to it, it does make it a little bit nerve-wracking. But, if you put in the work and you've put in the hours, you should be pretty confident coming into it. That's always how I felt. My favorite part was going to the meet and being able to perform and show everybody, all this work that I've been putting in behind the scenes.
Again, he is Zack Apple, two-time gold medalist, joining us here on behalf of Speedo. Zach, I can't wait really for the 9-day cycle to start coming up here on Saturday and learning more and more about what the U.S. Swim Trial is all about. I'm struck by just how intense the competition is, and the fact that we just debated whether Caitlin Clark should have made the U.S. Olympic team for women. I mean, that is a selection. You aren't a selection. You've got to finish first or second to be a part of the Olympic team. Can you, I guess, take us a little bit into the nerves of what the U.S. Swim Trials are all about from we've got to make the team first before even you start dreaming about those medals in Paris? Exactly.
I was actually just explaining this to somebody the other day that honestly, trials is a harder meet and a harder competition than the Olympics is for Team USA because we're just so chock full of the best swimmers in the world here in the U.S. And so once you make that team, you already know that, you're the cream of the crop. You are the best of the best. And so once you get to the Olympics after that, it's almost a little bit easier to perform at that level because there's a little bit less stress. But yeah, I mean, it is, like I said, we're the best of the best. And so making that team is tough.
You think it'd be distracting at all being in a football stadium coming up here? I mean, I don't know if sight lines, and this could be the dumbest question in the world, so feel free to go ahead and rip me for it. But obviously, you guys aren't used to necessarily that. I know you've been in some impressive venues, but I don't know. You think there's anything weird about it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was a freestyler, so I was always looking at the bottom of the pool, so that it wasn't not too bad for me. But for the backstrokers, it can be a little bit disorienting sometimes with such a high ceiling. But sometimes, I don't know if they've done it here, but sometimes they run lines over the pool, like just little wires, so they give you a guideline.
Zack Apple, two-time gold medalist, joining us. Zach, you won a gold medal in the 2020 Olympics, set a world record for the 4x100 meter medley relay. What was that like? Can you go back to 2020 and just describe that moment for you?
I mean, it's unreal, right? You put in thousands of hours leading up to it, and the hopes that you even get there. And then to actually be there and come through with a gold medal. And then we also set the world record in that relay. It's unlike anything that words can describe. And then to stand on the podium with those 3 other guys who are some of my best friends and listen to the national anthem play and watch the flag get raised, knowing that that's from from something that you accomplished is pretty special.
Zach, we've got a diehard IU fan as a charity guest host in studio today. His name is Bill. Bill, go ahead and throw Zach a question.
Hello, Zach. Great to talk to a fellow Hoosier. What was your favorite memory at IU? Was it Little Five, beating Kentucky, beating Purdue? What do you think?
Gosh, we were pretty locked in. So my Little Five experience is probably a little different than most of the Hoosiers out there. Man, I just loved the spirit of the school, right? The wearing the candy stripes around on game day, hanging out with all my friends. I really enjoyed the tailgate scene before football games in the fall is super fun. And so I think that's probably what I enjoyed the most, was just like getting behind the school, putting the candy stripes on, going to tailgates, cheering for the other Hoosiers.
Again, he is Zack Apple, two-time gold medalist here, and he's joining us ahead of the U.S. Swim Trials coming up starting on Saturday inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. Zach, you're joining us on behalf of Speedo. There was one time a hair restoration company contacted me and asked if I wanted to be an endorser for them. I've never had Speedo contact me, which I'm a little shocked looking in the mirror. I don't know. I thought my wife could maybe vouch for me on that end. Zach, tell us a little bit more about your partnership with Speedo.
Yeah, so Speedo is such an awesome partner. I was able to partner them during my athletic career when I was still swimming, and now I'm still with them post-athletically, but the partnership just makes sense, right? They're the best in the business. They've been making suits for nearly 100 years at this point, and they've been always pushing the boundaries around that. And so, when you watch these swimmers coming up, we all wear these super high-tech suits with tons and tons of research that go into them. And so Speedo is kind of the forefront of that, putting in so much research, so much behind-the-scenes work of designing these suits to give us as much of an advantage as possible, because we're fighting for hundreds of seconds in every race. And so we'll take any advantage we can get, and Speedo makes sure that we're in front.
Two-time gold medalist Zack Apple joining us for another couple minutes on the Payless Liquors Hotline. Zach, you retired a little over a year ago. You're a fresh 27. What's the next chapter of your life as you turn the page from competitive swimming?
Yeah, I'm actually I'm working at an engineering firm down in Morrisville that does power distribution work. So I'm just working a 9 to 5 like everybody else now. So it's just the normal old guy now.
The gold medal is on full display though at the home.
Pass it around at lunch break.
They are. I've got a nice little display shelf, and when you make the Olympic team, everybody signs an Olympic flag, like the whole swim team and staff, and so I've got that framed above it. It's a nice little display.
Hey, shout out to Mooresville in the 4A state finals for baseball coming up Saturday night.
You gonna be in person to check out the Olympic trials when they come to town?
I will be. Yep, I'll be there almost every day, I think, and so I'll be in the stands with everybody else just watching, and then I'll be over in the convention center doing some meet and greets and autographs, and I'll have the medals with me. So.
Zack Apple, that is a two-time gold medalist and an IU product that has joined us here on behalf of Speedo. Zach, thanks a ton, man. Congrats on that, and I'm really looking forward to a pretty unique event for our city here coming up.
Should be awesome. Thank you.
Thanks,
Zack Apple, Payless Liquors hotline there. Yeah, Mark, you have your championship belt from winning the St. Elmo shrimp eating contest, and Zach has his gold medals from Tokyo.
Yeah, maybe we can swap metal polishing.
Sure.
Techniques or something.
Yeah, you could debate which one means more.
Mm-hmm. Mine's probably heavier. I don't know. His probably real gold. I don't know if mine is.
Tony Adr, you're going to join us next. Again, we'll get into IU here, where things stand from a roster standpoint. It's been a major overhaul. It's certainly some new pieces, and I would say definite intrigue from a backcourt standpoint compared to where IU has been in recent years. We are doing this tour around the state this week. Yesterday we did it with Brian Newbert and Purdue, and today we'll do it with one of our favorites. He's Tony Adr. He's going to join us next. Don't forget Lin Dunn at 9 o'clock. Always look forward to Lin Dunn conversations, and we will hand out a 4-pack of tickets to the Fever and the Dream coming up tomorrow night. We'll do that with Lin at 9 o'clock. This is the wake-up call here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Query and Company. The Fan.
This would be top 10 for Bill, I would imagine.
Yes.
This is probably number one. Actually.
Yes, exactly. The re-entry there, the fight song, of course, of the Hoosiers. Charity guest host Bill, an unapologetic IU fan in studio. Yesterday, we got into Purdue, and certainly a lot of news items regarding Matt Painter's program here over the last 7 days or so. We did that with Brian Newbert. Tomorrow, it'll be Butler, but right now, let's look at where the update is, and boy, there are quite a few of them. In Bloomington, Tony Adr, one of our favorites, that is at Coach Adr on Twitter. He joins us now. Tony, good morning to you. As always, we thank you for your time and your insight. It's quite the 180 roster-wise. Where would you say maybe the biggest confidence level lies in that 180 based off what you see right here on June 12th versus where things stood leading into last season?
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. Always a pleasure being on here. To me, the biggest confidence boost is at the guard spot. Indiana, no secret, really put a lot of eggs in the Xavier Johnson basket last season. And, for a variety of reasons, it didn't come to fruition. Gabe Cupps played, started 15, 20 games at the point guard spot. And Trey Galloway, a lot of load was put on him. So, his efficiency numbers went down quite a bit. And then coming off the bench, there just wasn't a lot of dynamic guard play. And when you look at Indiana now, as we sit here on June 12th, with a Miles Rice and Cannon Carlisle / Trey Galloway, whoever's going to start at that 2 spot, playing at the guards, and then, like I mentioned, whether Carlisle or Galloway starts at that 2 spot, one of those guys is coming off the bench is going to be one of the best 6 men in the Big Ten, and sometimes you could play all 3, and go a little bit more small ball. And so having guys that can create on the floor is just going to be night and day difference for Mike Woodson's offense, and I think Indiana fans are going to like what they see.
Tony Adr joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline. Tony, where are we at with Mike Woodson's team heading into next season? They were frustrating a lot of the time last season. Won 19 games, rattled off 5 of the last 6 wins. But now I've seen projections that they could challenge for the Big Ten title. Where are we at as far as expectations in this Mike Woodson era?
Yeah, he's heading into his 4th season, so I think, it's only fair for fans to kind of expect to compete for those Big Ten titles. When Mike Woodson came aboard, that's what he said he came to do, compete for Big Ten championships and national championships. So I don't think it's unfair for fans to kind of hold him to that. In all honesty, Indiana's got a really good roster. And so, a couple seasons back, expectations were high as well for the Hoosiers with Trace Jackson Davis heading into his senior year. And they kind of lived up to that. They were a 4 seed, 2nd in the Big Ten. But ultimately, I think, fans are worried about what's going to happen in March. And, while everything leading up to that will be important, Indiana fans want their team playing into the second weekend in March. And so I think, fair or not, that's kind of where the expectations lie for this Indiana team.
Tony, we got a guest host in studio. His name is Bill. He is a diehard IU fan. He said this is his Disney World talking to you on the guest line. So hopefully he will behave here.
Tony, follow your stuff closely. Man, you do a good job. Thank you for all you do for the IU community. At the Huber Winery event, Mike Woods, it was shocking to hear him say it, but glad he did. He said, "You win with great guard play. We have an amped-up backcourt." And, thank God, IU fans, we don't have to watch Xavier Johnson play basketball anymore. Miles Rice and Cannon Carlisle, I think, are next-level guards. Miles Rice, my NBA comparison, Andrew Nembhard. Cannon Carlisle, Drew Holiday. What can you tell us about these 2 guards who come in, all Pac-12, one a freshman, one a sophomore? They have plenty of years left, and I think truly have NBA potential. Yeah,
and, I think you hit the nail on the head. Miles Rice, very well could have a breakout season this year. He had a great season at Washington State, but, it's Washington State. And Mike Woodson even said something at an event. It was like, "Hey, Trey, whisper in Miles Rice's ear over there. This ain't Washington State. This is Indiana." And so all eyes are going to be on him, and he's going to play on national TV every night. So if he has a big season, he might not be long for this world in an Indiana jersey, but he's just dynamic in the way that he plays. He can get to the rim. And a lot of folks will look at his 3-point percentage numbers. That's been a point of contention for Indiana for quite some time, is how they shoot the three ball and how often they do. Last season they were 355th in the country out of 363 teams and how often they scored from the 3-point line. And folks are going to look at Miles Rice's 3-point numbers and go, uh-oh. He was just a hair or 30%, I believe, from the 3-point line last year. However, a lot of people may not know his backstory, but this is a kid that, a couple off seasons ago was diagnosed with cancer, missed a whole season, and last year was his first year back from that. And his last, I believe, 22 attempts from the 3-point line of the season were misses. I think it's fair to say he probably got a little bit fatigued. He spent his off season doing chemotherapy. And so I think that's something that fans are also going to fall in love with, is that, he seems like an awesome kid, high energy. The first picture Indiana posted is him hugging Mike Woodson with a big smile on his face from their first workout this past season. So super excited about what he does, but he can create, and so can Carlisle. And those are the two biggest things that I think an offense needs is the ability to create for themselves and create for others. And Indiana just lacked that last season. And so that's why a lot of times you see the offense go stagnant, and really the only guy that could go get a bucket for himself was Malik Reneau. So what did they do? They threw it into Malik Reneau in the post or Khalil Ware in the post and said, hey, go get us a bucket. And now you're not relying on a back-to-the-basket player to go create a shot for themselves or for others. You're relying on your guard play. And to me, that's going to be the biggest difference, is the ability to create shots for everyone within the offense, including themselves, for both those guys. And I think that's why Indiana should see quite an uptick in their offensive efficiency next year.
Our college basketball tour around the state this week continues down in Bloomington. Tony Adr, a terrific insight on IU with us here. Payless Liquors Hotline. Tony, I said this to Brian Newbert, Purdue-wise, when we had him on yesterday, of like, we probably make too much of the, hey, what's your starting five going to look like? So I probably won't go there with you, but I'll throw you two things. How do you see Trey Galloway fitting into what the current makeup looks like? Because, again, if I am mapping out starting spots, I'm like, wait, is he the starting three or is he coming off the bench? I'm a little confused on that. And then the other end of that would be, I thought at times last year Mackenzie Mbako playing the 4 was the best looking thing for IU. But then on paper, I'm like, Umar Ballo, Malik Reneau, where's that fit? So I guess Galloway, exactly the puzzle piece there. And then Mbako, ideally, where would he, fit within the, 3 or 4 man?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. And, I think for Mike Woodson, it's a great problem to have when you have, multiple guys that you could slot into starting spots, because, it's cliche, but like starting the game isn't as important who finishes the game. And you have multiple options. So if you're up by 5, all right, maybe you want more of a quick lineup in that can shoot free throws. If you're down, you could put a little bit more length on the floor and press and trap. And, so there's different options you can do to close games, and I think that's what's most important. So when you talk about Trey Galloway, I think we're going to see quite the uptick in his efficiency, because by the end of the
Tony, you got us?
by the end of the year, he was you there?
Yes.
Hey guys, You there?
I think we hit a little bit of a dead spot, but all good. Keep on going.
Yeah. So, with Trey Galloway, it's one of those things where last year he was relied upon to do so much on the offensive end that he wore down. Like I said, he had to create shots for himself, had to create shots for others. And what we saw was, he went from a 44% three-point shooter to a 20% three-point shooter last year. And that's because in the year where he shot 44% for three, he was able to just spot up. Guys were creating shots for him, whether that be Jalen Hood-Schifino or Trace Jackson-Davis. And last year was like he's coming off ball screens and firing, and that's just not his game. So with Trey Galloway, I think, you're going to see him slot into more of a comfortable role. He'll be more of a secondary creator than a primary creator. And then with Mbako, he's versatile. And I don't think it's a secret that last season he really started slow, and defensively he struggled. Well, now he's got a year in a system that most people say is pretty sophisticated on the defensive end. And so he's going to be more comfortable defensively. He understands what Big Ten basketball is all about. And, he can slot into multiple positions, hopefully, because he's more comfortable in his role. I think Indiana tried as much as they could last season to, hey, you're a 3, learn everything that the 3 does, because, the learning curve was fairly steep for him, and now they can expand upon that. And so hopefully you'll be able to see them be more versatile with McKenzie and Baco, and it really force teams to match up with him, whether that be at the 3 or at the 4, because I think he's going to be a first-team all-big level player. He really came on last season strong in Big Ten play. Got to the point where I actually thought, I think he's going pro. And, he came back, and so expectations are going to be high for him. He's going to have to live up to those expectations, but he's going to be able to be a versatile player for Mike Woodson and his offense.
Again, Tony Adr with us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline. We've got guest host Bill in, crazy IU fan. Go ahead and throw another Tony's way.
Tony, last year obviously was disappointing, but Mike Woodson, he's leading us in the right direction through the transfer portal and getting this 5-star recruit. One of the main reason Calipari left Kentucky is because of what Mike Woodson's doing in Bloomington. Our starting lineup, I got Rice, Carlisle, Mbako, Renew, and Ballo, with Galloway, Tucker, Newton, Cups, Leal, and Landon Hatton coming off the bench. Tony, I think it's one of the best rosters that's been in the Big Ten the last 10 years. I think this is a Final Four roster, and we haven't been that far from the Final Four the past 10 years. If Miller Kopp hits the transition logo 3 against Miami, that's a Final Four. If Tom Crean gives Matt Roth a scholarship in 2013, that's a Final Four. But I want you to take a deep dive into this roster. Don't you think it's set up in a way with the stars up front? All 5 of those starters will play in the NBA. With great players coming off the bench, there's no reason we can't make a run at the Final Four.
I would nothing would make me happier than that.
You can call him insane if you want to on that front, Tony. A couple of those comments there, I was a little bit dazed and confused.
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely love Final Four. To me, looking at things on paper here in June, it's like, yeah, man, this is a really, really good roster, and Indiana's got a lot of pieces. However, they're coming off a season where they were 91st in KenPom. And so for me to look at this and just say, hey, they've gone from really, really bad season to Final Four would be tough for me to do. Now, with that said, Final Four is a crapshoot. The NCAA tournament, it's all about matchups and getting hot at the right time. To me, it's like, okay, what's the bigger picture of what can this team do both in the non-conference? They're going to be in the Bahamas in the non-con. They just inked a game with South Carolina South Carolina's coming to Bloomington in November. And then what can they do in the Big Ten season? And to me, they've got a roster that's set up nicely for the Big Ten. To me, they're also a little bit, in terms of how the makeup of, let's look at a UConn or let's look at a Purdue or even an Alabama, teams that were in the Final Four. I still think Indiana's roster makeup is a little bit outside of those realms. When you look at, putting one big around 4 shooters, that's just not what Indiana has right now. Now, listen, that's not to say there's only one way to do it. And, but it's up to Mike Woodson and his staff to figure those things out. When you look at the Final Four last year, it was a lot of the top offenses in the country. Indiana was 105th in the country last season in offense. So they've got a lot of work to do. Their work's cut out for them. But as you sit here in June, and if you're Mike Woodson, you're like, look, our roster's flipped, and we've got more dynamic playmakers. And so I think that's obviously, what they're hanging their hat on is he understands that guard play is what helps you win. He went out and got good guards. He got a veteran in Luke Goody that's made a run before and can space the floor a little bit. So I'm excited about what Indiana can do. But, I think as Purdue fans will kind of joke, Indiana's really good at winning the offseason, and then when it comes down to November through March, things go a little bit sideways. So I'm cautiously optimistic about this roster, but obviously still need to see it on the floor.
Tony Adr joining us for a few more minutes on the Payless Liquors Hotline. Tony, Mike Woodson's status. Obviously, they've got him signed up for a few more seasons. Last year, though, fans were asking for him to. They're looking into buyout situations for his contract. How sturdy is his standing with the university, and is an extension in the future? What's Mike Woodson's tenure going to be like at 66 years old?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of noise, obviously, last season to the point where, Indiana had to come out and basically release a statement to the media like, hey, Mike Woodson's coming back next year, towards the end of the year. And so, to think any differently about, he's, if you want to call it the hot seat or whatever, his expectations are high. Like, he's got to produce this year, I think. And that's not coming from, like, inside sources or anything. That's just kind of the nature of college basketball. You're in year 4. You're coming off a year where you didn't make the NCAA tournament. Your resource level at Indiana is top 5 to 10 in the country when you look at NIL, fan support, all that good stuff. So, like, his expectations should be high. He should be held to a high standard, and I think he will be. College basketball, typically you want your coach signed 4+ years in advance. Typically they say for recruiting purposes, that's why you want that. I don't know if that's as true anymore, just based with the portal and stuff like that. And, obviously Indiana didn't have a freshman signed until Bryson Tucker came kind of in the late stages of March or April. So, when you look at Mike Woodson, I think he knows, he said some things like, the true fan stuff and on senior day to where, like, he knows there's outside noise. I think he's got a fire lit under him. He went out and got great players in the portal. His NIL resources are really good. He's a good fundraiser, if you will. And so I think he knows expectations are high. I think he knows that, he's been in these situations before with the Hawks and the Knicks. Like, he knows it's business. And, so far so good, when you look at the end of the season through here in June. But obviously he's got to produce. I think he knows that. I think Indiana fans know that. I think Indiana's administration knows that. And so, it's going to be up to the team to produce this season for kind of what his job status looks like moving forward.
Tony, we'll end with this, and again, can't thank you enough for your time here on this Wednesday morning. You certainly are one that, watches a good amount of the NBA as well. I always respect just your general basketball opinions, even if it's not IU related. So I want to throw a Zack Apple kind of Cleo Ware one at you because, I've started to look a little bit closer at mock draft. 2 weeks from today is the opening round of the NBA NBA draft, I should say. How do you kind of view those two at the next level? Because, obviously in our backyard, IU, Purdue, certainly very different college careers. They're big men, but they're stylistically much different players. So they've been mocked pretty close to each other when you kind of look at the midway point, maybe even a little bit later in the first round. How do you kind of view Edey compared to Ware at the next level?
Yeah, I'm thankful as an IU guy that Zack Apple has called it quits in the college ranks. But, obviously respect his game. He's one of the most dominant college basketball players I've ever seen. When you look at it from an NBA standpoint, there's not a lot of Zack Apes, running around out there, but obviously he's an anomaly in the way he plays. You look at a big guy like him and you think like, no way can that guy play more than a couple minutes without being winded. But like, he played games where he played over 40 minutes, when it went to overtime and stuff for Purdue this season. So he's very well conditioned. Obviously NBA is a ball screen league, and he did struggle guarding ball screens a little bit at Purdue. And so I'd be interested to see, kind of how an NBA team would use him and stuff like that. But, with Cleo Ware, he kind of fits the mold, right? Long wingspan, versatile, can stretch the floor, good in ball screen actions. Like, to me, Cleo Ware is the prototypical, like, big in the NBA that can carve out a long career. And with Zack Apple, again, he's just kind of that anomaly. But, there might be some team out there that's like, look, we're going to do things a little bit differently. Like, we can't get these versatile bigs, or, we want to do something different defensively or something like that. Because, like they said in the NBA, it takes one team, to take a chance on you and put you in a position to succeed. And so with Edey, some team's going to take him. They're going to have a role for him. They're going to, he's a lottery pick. I think both those guys are fairly fortunate in that this draft class seems a little bit weaker than, the one prior and the one that's going to be after it. And so, they're taking full advantage of that and possibly lottery picks for both, which would be incredible and really would speak volumes to, both those guys' development at their respective schools. So, I'm excited to see both and how they fit into their respective teams. But, when I look at who kind of fits the NBA mold a little bit more, I would say that's Ware, but I'd be, reluctant to ever count out Zack Apple and what he can do based on his college career.
Again, it is Coach Adranya on Twitter. Always enjoy our conversations with Tony. You can find his work. Also, IU Film Room. But again, that is Coach Adranya, Adragna. Tony, always good hearing your voice, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Tony Adranya right there, Payless Liquors hotline. One more on the Edie Ware front. Again, 2 weeks from today, round one of the draft. NBA's latest mocks, they had their two guys, Jeremy Wu, Jonathan Gavoni, kind of go back and forth with some of these picks. Edie going 17 to the Lakers, the description there. Enter Edie, who can bring the Lakers some of the physicality they've been lacking, finishing as the NBA's worst offensive rebounding team last year. He's an elite screener, foul drawer, and finisher. They added he's unique enough to take a chance on him. I love his toughness and mentality, and he's more polished than the two centers I slotted after him. So he was going 17 in one of the mocks, 20 in the other. Ware was going 21 and 23. The description on Ware. I've come around a bit on the realistic chance of Khalil Ware realizing his potential after a strong second half of the season at IU. If he can find it in himself to keep producing at that level, he could easily outperform this spot with the level of touch, coordination, and physical gifts. There aren't many 7-footers who can cover ground, score, and have the explosiveness and touch around the basket and space the floor and protect the rim like Ware. So some interesting notes right there on Zack Apple and Khalil Ware.
One mock draft I saw had Ware going 9 overall. I'm like, whoa.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, good Lord.
Was that Bill's mock draft?
I need to try to find where I saw that at, but I saw that and I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I've been seeing like late teens or whatever like that. Top 10 lottery pick. That'd be wild.
Now, I do have a little bit of concern on and I saw Greg Doyle mention this in his column yesterday, of chalking up the Oumar Ballo next to Malik Reneau and saying, don't let people tell you that two bigs together don't work. Look at what Purdue did last season. I think it's a total discredit to Zack Apple and what Purdue put around Edie. Purdue was the second best three-point shooting team in the nation last year. Indiana has been from behind the three over the last few years. And, Tony kind of mentioned this. Yes, the guards bring a little bit more playmaking, but again, I still think three-point shooting remains actions are going to speak louder than words. And also, to me, it's just a total discredit to Edie. I mean, Edie is one of the most dominant college basketball players we have seen over the last 5 to 10 years. Ballo is a guy that, is a very good player, but he ain't Edie. So that sort of makeup. Do you want Mbako at the 4, or do you want Ballo and Reneau? It's a good problem to have on paper when you're talking about this, but again, is Galloway a starter? I think some of these are going to be fascinating to watch play out for IU.
Yeah, and Purdue fans, I'd like to compare this next year to the 2003 year of the Lakers. The Lakers with Shaq won championships from 2000 to 2002. Shaq leaves. How did Derek Fisher, Rick Fox, Ron Harper, and Tyronn Lue do without Shaq in the middle that next year? They didn't do very well. Purdue fans, it's going to be a rough year.
Gosh, I didn't have 03 Lakers on the bingo card today.
Who's your all-time favorite IU basketball player, Bill?
My all-time favorite? I got to go with Daniel Moore, Carmel, Indiana. Earned a scholarship, started 14 games, played in most of the games over his career. Great golfer. He's my favorite IU player ever.
Who's the Purdue player that you respect the most?
When Purdue's not playing IU, I cheer for Purdue. Purdue's got a great basketball.
Is that allowed?
Great basketball culture, all Indiana kids. Matt Painter, how do you not respect what he's done there? My favorite Purdue player, another good friend of mine, P.J. Thompson. Okay. What a point guard he was.
So do you have the house divided sign in your home where Purdue and IU?
I thought, in my opinion, IU fans did a good job cheering on Purdue through their NCAA tournament
Respect
run
and jealousy.
Yeah, and that,
mixed together?
My buddy told it to me like this. If Purdue did win a championship, hopefully it would make IU aspire even and try even harder to win in the following years and put more resources to it. But Purdue, it was a heck of a run. Glad you guys went to the Final Four national championship game. Almost had it. Just UConn a little too tough this year.
I love that Matt Painter's given PJ Thompson as much reign as he has. It's kind of I've enjoyed what PJ was on with. Was it Jake and Jimmy a lot, Mark? This year, I feel like they kind of had him on a couple of different times. Really enjoyed PJ Thompson's insight. And again, just in general, the delegation that Matt Painter has from a staff standpoint, it seems like a lot of those assistants do get their run on that. So if you're looking for the Purdue side of it, that was yesterday with Brian Newbert. Thank you to Tony Adr there. Again, coming up, Linn Dunn going to join us at 9. We're hopefully going to start maybe kind of an every other week series, Linn Dunn, Christy Sides, that sort of thing, from a Fever standpoint as they reach a part of their schedule that on paper is an opportunity, certainly, to say the least here. Starting tomorrow night, we will, speaking of tomorrow night, a 4-pack of tickets to the Fever and the Dream. We'll give that away with Linn Dunn coming up at 9. And Mark, you wanted to get to what is next on the horizon kind of financially for the Colts here coming up?
Yeah, obviously locked up Michael Pittman Jr. a little bit. Who's the next on the big contract availability for the Colts? Chris Ballard's going to have some big names coming up in the next couple seasons, so could we see a big deal coming in the near future? Let's dive into that on the other side. Before that, though, let's get into a morning checkdown.
The Morning Checkdown. On 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
It's Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight. Can the Dallas Mavericks make this a series? God, we all hope so. Kristaps Porzingis likely out. I mean, he's listed as game to game. I can't imagine that suffering a rare injury that we can't pronounce is going to have you game to game. I mean, I would have to imagine that when they're saying surgery is the most likely option, how are you going to be playing on that thing? Well, I don't understand.
Go back to game 1, the first half. I mean, Porzingis was incredible in that first half. He was laboring a lot at the end of game 2. And so you felt like something was there. For what it's worth, they said it's not related to the calf injury. I mean, come on now. Look at Tyrese Halliburton and just the different injuries that came off of the hamstring. So I think this is, a bit of a different, looking Celtics team because Porzingis does give them something different. But even more than that, Mark, Kyrie Irving, it's got to be a wake-up call tonight.
Yes.
Very poor in the first 2 games of this series. Dallas is favored by 2.5, and we'll see if the series can get interesting here tonight.
Tip off at 8:30.
Yes.
We'll see if that actually happens. Usually it's probably closer to 9 by the time that thing's going to take off. We'll see.
So that is now in Dallas. All right, yesterday on the baseball diamond, as Mark said earlier, all of our local teams stink. They all lost besides, I guess, are there Cleveland Guardians fans out there?
I don't know.
Cleveland
I don't know if
fan?
our signal reaches them.
Yeah, I don't think it does. Paul Skeen's outstanding yesterday. 6 1/3, no runs, 8 strikeouts, 5 hits. The Pirates did beat the Cardinals in that one.
You did good when the when the home team is cheering the visiting pitcher. You did pretty good.
I feel like Skeens is got a little bit of this following. I mean, it's not, like Caitlin Clark mania, but there is an element of visiting teams, hey, we're going, or visiting fans, we're going, and we can't wait to watch him pitch there, which is obviously pretty cool and much needed for baseball. The Indians lose to the Jumbo Shrimp of Jacksonville 2-1.
Yeah, I didn't see if Scampy or Southpaw were in a time. I'm sure they were out
there. Was
Joey
Joey Chestnut there?
He should be. He should do a shrimp eating contest. He's not going to be doing many hot dog eating contests, as we learned earlier today. Banned from the Nathan's hot dog eating contest on July 4th.
Are you Team Chestnut? Or are you Team Nathan's?
I think I'm going Team Chestnut. We've had him on the show before.
I don't know. I don't know if I like
some
him.
Dogs.
I don't like him partnering with Impossible Foods.
Yeah,
I didn't peg him as that.
The vegan dog thing is a bit odd, but I mean, if he's got no deal with Nathan's or Major League Eating, then no harm, no foul.
Live tour next?
I mean, he could be. Like I said, I want him to counter-program the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest, have a live stream going as the Nathan's Hot Dog Contest is going on, and we'll see who the true champion truly is.
I didn't think greed would get to Joey Chestnut, but it apparently
Hey, we're trying to get him on the show. Easy there.
Well, I've got to speak my opinion on that. Pacers draft workout number 3. Lord Golke is going to be in the gym today, firing 3-pointers there. That is Jack Golke from Oakland. Certainly, we all remember him very well from what happened in the NCAA tournament. Outside of him, it's a very nondescript group, which I think is going to be pretty par for the course here as we get closer to the draft. Kind of difficult without a first-round pick to attract a whole lot of workout talent here, but we'll see if that changes at all. Again, 2 weeks from tonight, the NBA draft.
Can you pronounce the guy that they're working out from China or Belgium?
Which
one do you think you could actually do? I'm looking at both of these. I don't think I can even get close.
Didn't we do the New Zealand dude last week?
Yeah, and I made him sound like he was from Holland or something.
Yeah, all right. Give me a second here. Let me. I all I had was Golke down on the list. I can do Tyson Walker from Michigan State. You want to go there?
No, I want the Belgium guy or the Chinese guy.
Young Ji Q from China.
Sure. And then Belgium.
The writer from Belgium.
Sure.
Emmanuel Miller from TCU. I actually vaguely remember. How in the world did TCU lose to Utah State?
I don't know. The Belgium guy, I assume he just brings like a boot of beer with him or something.
Purdue
like that.
just absolutely steamrolled Utah State. Utah State looked like they couldn't beat Marion.
I know. I think I had them in like my Sweet 16 or something too. So that was tear up the.
You had Purdue losing to Utah State?
Or not Utah. I'm sorry. No, I didn't have that. But Purdue, I had going to the Final Four. But yeah.
Yeah, I can't say I watched a lot of TCU this year. But yeah, Emmanuel Miller, A.J. Mitchell from UC Santa Barbara, and Tyson Walker, Michigan State, Jack Golke from Oakland. All right, on the other side, Mark Dykton's got some thoughts. Colts financially. We'll hit on that. Linn Dunn at 9.
Introducing the Deep Eddy Vodka.
courts. If you're going north, I guess they'd be on your right side, right there. So there's going to be a ceremony there where Halliburton talks about what he's doing from a community standpoint. I think that's a really kind of cool idea. And think about outdoor basketball courts around the city this time of year. Certainly a spot for a lot of young kids to venture towards. So I love that.
Nothing better than a summer pickup game in the park.
Exactly.
Get some exercise, get some fresh air.
Tyree's going to be doing that.
Break someone's ankles with a crossover.
On Friday, Bill brought up his illustrious high school career. Again, we have charity guest host Bill in studio with us, Tony Adr. That was up on the podcast. And then Linn Dunn going to join us in a few. Big stretch for the Fever right here, boys.
I would say maybe the most important of the season and maybe the last gasp for any kind of making any sort of run. Because if you don't get these 5 games, I'd say you have to win at least 3 of them. If you don't win 3 out of the 5, I mean, what are we doing here?
Well, the saving grace is 8 of 12 teams make the playoffs.
I know, but you need to actually start winning games to actually be in that conversation. I mean, you're, 3-10 right now? I mean, you need to start stringing some wins together. You need to get out from the bottom of the basement of the WNBA standings if you're going to try to make any kind of playoff push.
Bill, is it all about Caitlin Clark and your family, or is it hey, we need the Fever to start winning?
No, we need to start winning. Like Kevin said, 8 out of the 12 teams make the playoffs. We got a good home stretch here. Our players are rested. It starts on the defensive end. We got to be better. Just like the coach said last game as she benched everybody for the fourth quarter.
Can they get better?
We got to play the Pacers don't play defense, and the Fever don't either, and we got to change that in Indiana.
Atlanta Dream tomorrow night. Again, we'll give away a 4-pack of tickets here in a little less than an hour. Mark, you had something on your mind, Colts finances related?
Yeah.
Certainly a busy offseason internally with money for the Colts.
So we saw, obviously, Michael Pittman Jr. get paid, and a lot of wide receivers get paid in this offseason. But I was curious, what's the next big contract? What's the next guy we're circling on the roster that was like, this guy could, eat up some financials for the Colts? Where is the next long-term big money deal coming for the Colts? So I was looking at contract lengths, who's up at the end of this season, who's up in 2025. Where is that big money going to come from? Are there going to be some tough decisions for Chris Ballard and company? Could we be waving goodbye to a couple guys that have been on the roster for quite a few years? So I wanted to get your thoughts. I compiled a list. Obviously, not all these guys are going to be getting any big money deals, but I've put some in bold that maybe possibly could be on the next big contract extension. 2024 notables. This one, I think, is the one. Ryan Kelly, he said he's not retiring anytime soon. He's just turned 31. Is he a guy that could be a big money deal? There's other guys like Dayo Dangbo. I don't know about that. Mo Alley Cox, Kylan Granson, Julian Blackman, Will Fries, Dallas Flowers, Rigoberto Sanchez, Danny Pinter. That's the 2024 group. I see Ryan Kelly as maybe a guy. I don't know if it's going to be like a massive deal, but it could be one like that's the next contract extension on the horizon. And then 2025, there's Braden Smith, there's Alec Pierce, there's Bernard Ryman, who I think could be, Rodney Thomas, Tyquan Lewis, Alec Pierce. Any of those names stick out to you as far as that could be the next guy circled on Chris Ballard's indoor inside the building that needs to get done and signed up long term?
I think this needs to be the year where Kelly passes the torch to Tanner Bortolini. When you look at center in this league, I just don't think it needs to be a rich investment position. Certainly I don't want to discredit it, but I guess I am in a way. I just think that you drafted a guy in the 4th round in Bortolini. Kelly, yes, to your point, Mark, it sounds like he wants to, continue to play even after this contract year.
So he's not retiring anytime soon, but that doesn't mean that that's going to be necessarily playing for the Colts.
And again, this is kind of just the overarching issue I've had with the Ballard era is when you look at where the money is allocated, to me, it is put too often into positions that just don't have this major significant impact compared to other teams.
Yeah, the Colts put money into positions that other teams don't value as much.
So
I think that's very fair.
And again, you drafted Bortolini in round 4. And if you're going to draft an interior offensive lineman that early, you think there is starting potential there. You're not doing that strictly for depth or, that sort of thing. So I do not view, and again, this is my opinion, I do not view Kelly as a guy that, needs to be getting some 3-year extension like so many have been handed out. Honestly, the 2 names that you said amongst that list, I do think Dayo Dangbo is trending towards an extension. Now, that debate with him and Kwity Paye, again, they just picked up the option for Kwity Paye for 2025. They still have yet to give him the long-term deal.
Yeah, he's another one I've put in bold as far as getting a contract extension.
I think Dangbo is, again, kind of on the right trajectory to earn that. And then if you continue to operate how you have, I would say Bernard Ryman is an extension candidate. Again, Ryman, for those that are forgetting when he was drafted, this will be year 3 of a 4-year rookie deal. Typically.
And he'll be 28 when that last year.
Yeah, very old draft pick.
Yes.
Yeah, very old draft
pick. He'll be 28.
Typically, after year 3, if a player's had a productive, impressive, however you want to describe it, rookie contract, then the Colts will hand out an extension. So I think next offseason, Ryman could be in that mold of, like DeForest Buckner, I guess, this year, Zaire Franklin a little bit this offseason. That's where I would go on that. But, yeah, Julian Blackmon will be a fascinating debate. I think Blackmon really wants to test the open market. Clearly, he took his time in free agency this year. He's got some injury questions as well. But my concern, I guess, overall would be this. You didn't list a lot of names that I think, in my opinion, are huge money guys and or are coming off the books. Like, if you just look at next year's free agents, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but it's like Kelly, EJ Speed, Kylan Granson,
Doolin.
Again, these aren't,
Flacco, Ellinger, Will Fries, Wesley French, Dallas Flowers, Rigoberto Sanchez, Danny Pinter.
Those aren't $15, $20 million guys.
Not at all.
So my concern there is this. We heard about a Justin Jefferson rumor. We heard about trading up into the top 10. They made this offer for Daniil Hunter. Was this the offseason to do that? Because now financially, things are getting tighter. You just extended all these guys to the 2 and 3 year. That would be a concern that I have. I think you still can make it work, but with how the Colts usually operate from an economic standpoint, they could be nervous.
Yeah, the 2025 group definitely gives me more guys in bold that I'm saying, okay, maybe. Like, I don't know where you are, but Kwity Paye, Bernard Ryman, we just discussed those. Braden Smith, where are we at on him? Like, that he'll be 29.
Yeah, it's a big year health-wise for him.
Yeah. He's
year.
a big question mark heading
I
into this
still think when
season.
he plays, he's very, very important, and I thought last year when he didn't play, you saw that a little bit. Bill, you had a question, the Alec Pierce related, you were saying earlier?
Yeah, I know our wide receiver room has gotten a lot more competitive, which is a good thing. Obviously, we re-signed...
Much needed, right?
We re-signed Pittman, as we all know. Pittman's a good number one, not a great. He needs a good supporting cast around him. It seems like Pierce is getting pushed a little bit. And my question was, if Pierce doesn't start at the wide receiver position he started at last year, will he still see minutes at other receiver positions?
Yeah, I don't view this, yes, would be my short answer. I don't view like him versus A.D. Mitchell as, let's just play out Will Fries competing for the right guard job with Tanner Bortolini. Like, if Fries wins the job over Bortolini with how offensive linemen work, Fries plays every snap in a game, typically. You rarely see teams, hey, you've got one series at right guard, and then the next series you go in at right guard. Like, for continuity's sake, that's just not how it works. I don't think you would see an outright benching with Pierce. Mark, we've brought this up before. Go back to last year in the Raiders game. Alec Pierce was an absolute no-show in the Atlanta game the week prior. Michael Pittman Jr. has the wild concussion situation, late week. All of a sudden he's a scratch. You get down there for Christmas against Taylor Heineke and the Falcons, and you need Pierce to take on number one duties. And it was a flop. Gardner Minshew didn't help that, but you didn't have, anywhere close to a dominant wideout. The very next week, Alec Pierce gets one target in the football game against the Raiders. One target. It's a 50-some yard touchdown in a short yardage situation. Like, that element with Pierce, you can't just first off, he's not making a ton of money. It's not like you would cut him. But I don't think you would shun that to, he's inactive or he's not playing. Certainly it would be a wake-up call, and his snaps would be much more limited than they were last year. But still, with Anthony Richardson's threat as a deep ball thrower, I don't think you would have that where it's just an outright benching for Alec Pierce.
I think he has a role on this team, even if it is like a wide receiver 4 or something like that. He is another 2025 candidate, by the way. But no, I think he has a role on this team, again, with a healthy Anthony Richardson. You can fit him in somewhere and make him have some impact. He's not going to be, just on special teams or anything like that. So I think there is a role for Alec Pierce on this roster going forward. Whether it's a large role, whether it's a smaller role, he is a wide receiver 4 on this team.
Nothing like the announcement for the announcement. That's what the Colts did yesterday. They have announced a training camp schedule announcement. Do I have that right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so this is coming up in late June, June 26th. They want everyone to gather in Westfield to announce their training camp schedule. It'd be an absolute shame to give parents heads up on possible practice times as their kids head back to school, right?
Of course.
Yeah, planning. No, that's not needed at all. Again, I mentioned this earlier. I'm guessing July 24th to like mid-ish August. August 16th, 17th, right after those Cardinal practice days. That would be my assumption. Mark, I know
those dates are out, by the way. So if you're
the 14th
trying to do,
and 15th, is that
yes,
right?
Uh-huh.
Mark, I know you've been out to Grand Park. Bill, have you taken the family out there for a training camp practice?
I've not been out there, but I just wanted to say one thing. This is Chris Ballard's 8th year. Colts, it's time to step it up. Okay, this missing the playoffs, being 500 thing, it doesn't work anymore. It's 8 years of this regime. Let's take the next step up. Let's make the playoffs. Let's host a playoff game. Let's do better than we've done.
Boy, you are preaching to the choir there. The last time the Colts hosted a playoff game?
Man, I know I was there, but I do not remember.
Anybody want to take a stab at it?
Was Lucas Oil Stadium their residency?
It was Lucas Oil Stadium.
Was it
2014, wasn't it?
Corbin, the
Kansas
2014 season, the opponent, Corbin?
Kansas City Chiefs, Andrew Luck, Superman.
1 year.
Where did that go?
1 year after that. 1 year after that, they did host against the Cincinnati Bengals. So yes, back-to-back years. I think I was. I could have sworn AJ Green was hurt in that game. Yes, that's how long it's been, which is about as pathetic as again the Week 1 drought stat, which you got to go back to the 2013 season for that.
Bill hammering the over 8.5 for the Colts wins total.
Hammering it for Chris Ballard's sake, it sounds
so.
like, which, again, is much needed and something Ed Carpenter would disagree with, right? Remember when Ed pushed back on me at Card Day about thinks I'm too harsh on Chris Ballard? I believe Ed said...
he said that's one of the more notable things on the morning show is your hot takes on Ballard.
Ed goes, be careful what you wish for. I go, what's the alternative? Continuing to not make the playoffs and not win the division? Because that seems to be the reality. And
that was a solid retort by you.
I know. I feel like probably the beers helped out on this Friday morning. All right, on the other side, we've got to talk a little bit of Pacers action. Again, Obi Toppin was a popular topic for us yesterday. A counter to that, do you pass up on good players, let them walk for nothing? We'll chat about that next. Linn Dunn in about 10.
Prescriptions require an online consultation.
Top. So Corbin, are you going college fight songs on us today? I feel like you've done a lot.
Yeah, so what's a month and a week from today?
That is the return of the EA NCAA football 25. That trailer,
Mark Dykton.
That trailer gets me hot and bothered because that game looks great.
Well, that and scrolling through Livy Dunn's Instagram right here on this Wednesday morning.
Oh, my.
Nice, Corbin, on that end. Did I see Christian McCaffrey, front cover of Madden?
Yes, he's got the Madden cover. So he's the first running back since Peyton Hillis.
Oh, my gosh. What a legend.
I can't believe it's been that long. But, yeah, he's obviously a very solid choice for a Madden cover. He says he's reached a dream goal now that he's the Madden cover athlete. I was trying to think of who else would be on the cover. I feel like the Madden jinx is kind of gone these days, but,
Why the hell was Peyton Hillis on it?
That was because it was a fan vote that year, and Browns fans just turned out for Peyton Hillis. And, that was easily the most obscure Madden cover athlete of all time.
God, what a legend.
Yeah.
It's a shame we don't have running backs / potential fullbacks like that in the NBA. In the NFL anymore. On the NBA front, again, first off, I guess WNBA front, Linn Dunn going to join us in 5. Looking forward to catching up with her for the first time since this season has gotten underway. We talked a lot Obi Toppin yesterday, Mark, and again, I think if the Pacers retain him, to me it says a little bit more about what they think of Jarris Walker than it does anything else. And I know it might be putting maybe too much focus or pressure on Walker, but that's where I would go. Royce chimed in after the show yesterday, going back and listening to it. I want to make sure he brought this point up. Royce goes, Pacers aren't a free agent destination, so there's no way they can just let a proven guy like Obi walk for nothing. A team can never have enough talent. Let Rick figure out that sign and trade, maybe to get back talent or draft picks. I think it's a little bit living in the past, thinking that this is the old narrative of the Pacers can't get a free agent. I don't think that's as gospel as it once was. I really think Tyrese Halliburton has got the ability to attract.
I think Tyrese Halliburton and a future extended of Pascal Siakam help. I think that helps as well, as far as drawing more interest from other players.
I think the Olympic experience, via word of mouth, via the actions, I think all of that is going to continue to make the Pacers more attractive. Certainly you got to have money. And you got to have a person that, wants to be here for the right reasons, which, that can be debated sometimes in free agency as well. But I think you're going to see a few more of the opportunities. It might not be as grand as Siakam is from a decorated standpoint, but I truly believe, I think the Pacers, based off what they did in getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think they've positioned themselves, thanks to Halliburton, to be more attractive than they've been in years past. So I understand where Royce is coming from, but I don't view Toppin in that light. Of you can't let good guys walk for nothing because you can't get anybody else. Mm-hmm. What'd you get Toppin for?
2 second-round picks. Yeah.
Exactly. You still have an ability, I think, to do that. I don't look at it like that.
No, I think they can attract players. I don't think Josh Hart is coming here anytime soon, unless it is a sign and trade. I don't think he'd want to be here. Other than that, though, I think Indiana is not necessarily a destination, but I think people will be more open to it now that you have Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam in the near future as far as running mates.
Linn Dunn on the other side.
Yep.
Quickly, guest host Bill is in today. Bill, are you a team run it back guy, or you want to see a tweak or two?
I'm a team run it back. All these players are marketable. Other teams are going to want them. If it's not working out, you'll be able to trade them. Run them back. Let's build
and you mean
something
deadline
special.
rise? You mean trade deadline?
Yeah, deadline-wise.
Yeah.
At the start of last year, Bruce Brown and the shooter from the Bahamas were on the team. They weren't by the end of the trade deadline, and it worked out well for us.
God, you forget about the Bruce Brown era.
God, he was horrible. Horrible.
I don't know if he was that bad, but certainly not up to the $20 million. All right, Linn Dunn, the great Linn Dunn, joins us next.
Query and Company.
College fight songs. Mark, I looked at Corbin during the break and I said, whose fight song is this?
And?
Linn Dunn, do you know this fight song right here?
Which one? Is it Rocky Top?
Can you hear that? Corbin's playing the Tennessee Martin fight song for you.
The Tennessee Martin fight song? Goodness gracious, where did he find that?
How about that? Corbin, great work. The alma mater of one Linn Dunn right there. Tennessee, is that the Skyhawks? Do I have that nickname right?
Right, the Skyhawks. Now, I'm a Skyhawk and a ball. After I went to Martin, I went to Knoxville and got my master's. So I'm a Rocky Top Skyhawk.
You've been everywhere. The Linn Dunn resume is as decorated as they come. We can't thank you enough. She is obviously spearheading Where the Fever At from a new era standpoint. She's the GM of the Fever, Linn Dunn, with us right now. All right, Coach, we are about a third of the way through the season. Your thoughts overall so far on what you've seen from the squad?
Well, I think we've just finished a really, really tough early schedule. I would call it brutal. I understand what the league was trying to do. They were trying to feature Caitlin, I believe, and get the TV ratings up and help us with the media rights deal, but it put us through a real tough gauntlet. I think what we've got to remember, though, is we're 0-9 right now against the top teams, but we're 3-1 against the rest. And we now have some home games. We now have some games against teams that are pretty much in our league that, that are fighting for that 7, 8, 9 spot. And so we just have to be a little bit more patient with the growth of this team. So do I wish we'd win some more games? Absolutely. And I think we have an opportunity now to do that.
We had Christy Sides on the morning of the first game. I remember asking her the question, what is it going to take to end that playoff drought? She made it abundantly clear it would need to be growth on the defensive end of the floor. The issues there are well documented through the first 13 games. Why have there been so many problems defensively so far?
Well, that's a great question. I know we haven't had time to practice. All we did was play, travel, sleep, eat, play, travel. Very few practice times. And if you're going to improve your defense, you need reps. I mean, I'm a defensive coach from the get-go. And so now we've got some time to get some reps in to fix it. It's called slippage. We've slipped with the dribble drive defense. We slipped a little bit with the rotations. So we've got to get back in the classroom, get back in the gym, and clean up some of that slippage.
Fever GM Lin Dunn joining us on the Payless Liquors Hotline. Lynn, this upcoming 5-game stretch, how important is it to get off to like a 3-2 start or something like that? You have the Dream in the Sky twice. The Dream in the Sky twice. You've got the Mystics once. How does this next 5-game stretch dictate the rest of the season?
Huge. These are the games that we have to win. I'm just be real honest with you. If we're serious about challenging for that last, 7th or 8th playoff spot, which is our goal. Our goal this year is not to win a championship. Everybody needs to calm down. What we're trying to do is squeak into that playoffs with those last few spots there. And so these are teams that we can beat, that they're realistic. The top 4 all of them have 2 or 3 Olympians. Those are not the teams we're ready to beat yet. What we're trying to do is beat that next group. And so these next few games, having them at home, having them being similar to us, are very important.
How would you grade Caitlin Clark's rookie season to this point? How do you think she's handled the outside noise dealing with all this stuff?
Wow. I'm just still in awe of how mature, how poised she is with the media, with the pressure. And I'm sure the experiences that she had at Iowa, especially her junior and senior year with sellouts at every game, with, packed stadiums, breaking all those records, has prepared her for the situations that she's dealing with now. I think she's handled the physicality better than I expected. Did she get guarded by 25, 27, 30-year-old women that'd been in the weight room 4 or 5 years more than her early? Was it tough? Yeah, but I think she's handled it well. I'm impressed with her ability to adapt to what she's dealing with.
Has the mania been crazier than you thought?
The mania times 10 or times 20. But I'm thrilled that we're playing in front of sold-out arenas. The people are learning, growing as far as WNBA fans. Everywhere we play, it's a sellout. Everywhere we play, the fans are, crazy about women's basketball, and I'm loving it. I never thought I'd see this. I thought in my lifetime would I see charter flights or constant sold-out arenas, and so I'm thrilled to see it.
I mean, hell, look at that crowd Friday night in the nation's capital, biggest in the WNBA game in, over a decade from what you saw there. Her voice needs no introduction. She's Linn Dunn, of course, with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Last year, you saw Christy Sides lead a team to 13 wins. They probably were playing their best basketball, I'd say, late in the season. And again, so far, it's been 3-10. When you look specifically at her, Christy Sides, how would you evaluate year 2 for her?
Well, just like you said, she took a team last year, year 1, from 5 wins to 13 wins. We've competed for that playoff position right to the very end. So she's earned the opportunity to have a chance this year with many of the players returning from last year's team. It's just unfortunate she was dealt a very difficult schedule early. So I'm constantly evaluating her, just like that's my job. I'm evaluating the coaching. I'm evaluating everything that goes into this team, and I'm going to give her an opportunity to show us what she can do.
Lynn, we've got guest host Bill in studio. He's been to a couple Fever games this season. He's got 3 young daughters. He's going to toss you a question.
Okay.
Hey, Coach Dunn. First wanted to say thank you for your passion for women's basketball. It's unbelievable, and it's growing the game year after year. So thank you for that. Wanted to touch on 2 things. First thing, 12-person Olympic team. In my opinion, Caitlin's one of the 12 best players in the league. Would have liked her to be on that. And also, the referees in the WNBA, they got to start calling these bumps, Lynn. She's getting bumped. She's getting
You trying
held.
to get in her pocket
She's
here?
getting grabbed.
She can't get fined.
Lynn, we got to grow the game, and it starts with this bumping.
Bumping? That's a soft term. You guys are, the word bump is nothing. They're not going to call a bump. It's physical, it's rough, but I think you have to remember when a 22-year-old hits a 30-year-old, there's going to be some, it's going to look rough because of the difference in the strength of the 2 players. Yes, I agree. I want the referees to clean it up. Let's cut out the cheap shots. I know it's going to be physical. I know it's going to be rough and it's going to be competitive. I expect that, but let's cut out the cheap shots. And I think they're doing a little bit better since the Chicago game at doing that. Let's talk about that Olympics. That's the elephant in the room. Would we have loved for her to be on that team? Absolutely. My goodness gracious. Wouldn't it have been wonderful for her to be part of that 12 roster, and now she's involved for the future? But it didn't happen, and I understand their reasoning. They didn't take anybody under 26 years of age. They didn't take anybody that hadn't competed in the World Cup or the Olympics in the past. They only had 7 practices. So they went with the veterans that had been in Cheryl Reeve's system. I get that. I know the people on the committee. They're good people. They're hardworking people. I served on the selection committee for 8 years back in the 90s. I know how much work goes in to pick these teams and these players. And so the good news is Caitlin's young. She's going to be on a lot of Olympic teams.
The one and only Linn Dunn joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline. Lynn, Aaliyah Boston's season at this point, what has been the best part of her season? What's something she needs to work on?
Well, I think Aaliyah's adjusting to us playing a system that's a little bit faster, a little bit more up-tempo than we played last year. I continue to see her get better in that system. We're running more pick and rolls, picking pops, picking spots with her and Caitlin. I think she's a target now. Anytime you're the rookie of the year, you're going to draw a lot more attention than you do that first year. But I see her getting better every game.
She's a Skyhawk. She is Linn Dunn from the Pride of Tennessee Martin. We played that fight song to intro her here on this Wednesday morning. One more, I guess, on the Clark Olympic front. I don't know. Maybe I'm asking you to be too selfish with this question, but are you happy at all that she didn't make the team? Because now she's going to rest for the first time in 12 months?
Well, that's a great question. I was, to be honest with you, I was a little bit torn. First of all, you always want an Olympian from your team to be on the squad, to go to Paris, to represent your country. So absolutely, my first choice would be put her on the team, give her a chance to grow with the Olympics. But then if she doesn't make it, then I'm thinking about the positive. Okay, she finally gets a chance to rest And we're talking 4 years at Iowa where they practice and play year round. So this will be the first opportunity for her to have a break in over 4 years. So I can see a positive of her not making the team in that she gets a chance to rest.
Despite a 3-10 start, Lynn, what's the biggest strength of this team in your eyes?
Well, I think it's the young talent. You know what I'm saying? We've got 4 players that are young, and we're continuing. Caitlin's young, and Aaliyah's young, and Melissa Smith is young, and even Kelsey Mitchell. She's not a seasoned veteran. She's still in the middle of her career, and so we're trying to get all of those young players to gel together, play together, and show what they can do.
Coach, we'll end with Bill here. He's going to ask you one more.
Lynn, you guys have always had a good fan base, but it's exploded to a new level. Big families like the Schutzman family, the Dury families. They've got family texts going, watching every second of Fever basketball. What do you have to say to your fan base?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Not only have you discovered and fallen in love with the WNBA, the Indiana Fever, but I think you're falling in love with women's basketball, period, and you are seeing the best athletes in the world. So enjoy the moment.
All right, Coach Dunn, we really can't thank you enough for your candor and your energy per usual. We're actually going to end with this, all right?
Okay.
One of your cohorts there, Ryan Stevens, does an outstanding job. He's sent us some tickets to give away here on the show for tomorrow night. So we're going to give away a 4-pack of tickets for your Fever against the Dream. And I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. I've got a Lin Dunn related trivia question I was going to ask our listeners, but I'm going to offer you the opportunity if you've got your own maybe Lin Dunn or Fever related trivia question. Feel free to ask it on air, and we'll take the winner once you hang up with us. So either you can provide the question, or if you don't want to, totally understand. I've got a Lin Dunn Fever-related trivia question to ask our audience.
Okay, I've got one. If you've got one, maybe we've got two. I've got a really good one since you brought up the Skyhawks and that I'm one of the legends at the Skyhawks. Who though is the other Skyhawk legend that everybody in the world knows?
Okay, so we need a UT Martin Skyhawk legend here. Is there a specific sport related or anything any hint here, or are you just going?
I will give you a hint. I would lean towards women's basketball.
Hey, interesting. This is going to take a little Googling here from our crack staff on this one here. Okay, all right. Lin Dunn, we cannot thank you enough. We will take, what should we go with here? The 6th caller on the answer here, and we'll make sure Corbin knows the answer on that. Is Lynn still on the line? Lynn,
I'm right here.
Lynn, thank you so much for the time.
Hey, guys, thank y'all. I'll enjoy talking to you anytime.
Thank you, Coach. You're the best.
Uh-huh.
No one better. No one better than Lin Dunn right there. Are we Googling it over there, Mark Dykton?
We are. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have the answer?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Well, Corbin's answering phone, so I hope he knows the answer on that end. I thought Lynn was really candid right there.
Yeah. Yeah, she had some great answers there. It was something I'm sure we're going to replay a couple of those tomorrow.
Again, practice reps defensively. I mean, right now, I think as you move forward, the defensive excuse has got to shrink and shrink because you are getting practice time. And that has been the issue. She mentioned struggling with rotations and all of that. I thought the answer about this 5-game stretch, which we've talked about, if we are serious about challenging, Dream, Sky, you got the Mystics who just won their first game last night. Then you play the Dream and the Sky again. It's now or never for this team. Is Mark giving Corbin the answer on this end? Here they are in cohort. I have no idea the answer. Bill, you got any ideas? Should we have asked Coach Dunn?
No, we know it now.
I think I know the answer.
We've got it, and yeah, it's.
Has someone called in with the correct answer?
I would say Mount Rushmore of the college women's basketball.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. Okay. That is high praise on that end. Okay, but we can't say it out loud because we don't have the caller yet.
I don't think we have the caller yet. I think we want to make this a guessing game so you get the 4. You have to earn the 4-pack of tickets.
Oh, Brandon just tweeted at me. Yeah. Boy, this is the Mount Rushmore. Okay. All right. Thank you to Lynn. I had no idea on that.
No.
I guess that makes sense. Is UT Martin in Martin, Tennessee? I have no idea where even that is.
I have no idea.
Why did I always think Lin Dunn was a Kentucky Wildcat at one point?
She gives off those vibes. I think, didn't she say when we were with Jake, she went to a concert over there or something like that? It's on Mellencamp or something.
Was that what it was? In Rupp?
Maybe.
Is that? I can't believe she's 77 years old.
I know.
Yeah,
I hope I look that good at 77.
I was going to mention that. What a person to look up to. 77 years old, has done every job in women's basketball, including being a college head coach. And
She was head coach of
she's
Purdue for 10 years.
Total legend, Linn Dunn.
Corbin, you've got the correct answer and the correct caller?
Yes, we do. Do you want him to come on with you and say it, or do you want me to just...
Oh, sure.
No,
bring him
yeah,
on.
let's get him
Yeah.
on.
Who we got?
It's Blake.
Hey, Blake.
Blake.
Yo, what's up?
Blake, yo. Give us the answer here.
Pat Summit.
Pat
Boom.
Summit.
There you
Yes,
go.
sir.
Blake.
Yes, sir.
Blake Corbin's going to take your email. Congrats, brother. You're going to the Fever and the Dream. That is tomorrow night. Saw the Fever a slight underdog in that
Yeah,
one.
like 1.5 points. Yeah.
Again, if you look at it from an upcoming standpoint, again, they've been on the road for the last 3. They'll be at home. Boy, that's a big one Sunday. CBS, the rematch with the Sky there on that end.
UT Martin about 3 hours west of Nashville, by the way.
3 hours west of Nashville. How far is Memphis?
Oh, now you're making me look at. I mean, I'm on Google Maps here, so I'm having to zoom out. It's northeast of Memphis.
She didn't sound like one too disappointed with Christy Sides from a coaching standpoint. Was that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, I think she said she's evaluating everything, so there's that. But she also said that this 5-game stretch is critical for the rest of the season. So maybe we'll see where we evaluate after these 5 games.
Yeah, again, 13 wins last season. There's times this year where I watch this year's product and think, how did they win 13 last year?
Yeah.
And, I think that's where some of your disappointment comes is, theoretically you're thinking, all right, you're adding a generational player like that. You should certainly be hovering around 500, I would think. And right now it hasn't been. But they've been adamant about the schedule. That is probably the first or second thing you hear mentioned. And certainly it hasn't been ideal. We'll see if they can get on track.
Yeah, I also don't remember the defense being this poor last season. Like, I don't remember them being routinely blown out of games by halftime.
I mean, it has been horrific this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like I didn't see the steep drop-off of defense after last season's effort, but we're there right now, so hopefully they can improve and get it going these next 5 games. Like I said, the Sky twice, the Atlanta Dream twice, and the Mystics once. You better go at least 3-2 in that 5-game stretch.
And it sounds like Tammy Fagbinley. Is
Yes,
that right?
yeah.
Kev?
I'm glad you said it, not me.
She's going to be back. 6'4", runs the court well.
She was really important for them earlier this year.
Oh, yeah. Caitlin finds her. She catches it in stride, finishes with both hands. She's going to be big. The Fever are about to go on a run, ladies and gentlemen. Pack the stadium. Get ready. It's happening. We're going to make the playoffs.
And Christy Sides, this is her first time as a head coach. That is something that I think some people have brought up. And, listen to Lin Dunn describe the mania. I mean, what'd you say, times 10, times 20?
Yeah,
than what
than
she
they expected.
thought it would be. So a lot right now on the plate of the Fever, but certainly this 5-game stretch upcoming here, absolutely vital on that end. All right, 10 minutes away from the pop quiz, 317-239-1070 for that. Again, a 4-pack of tickets we're giving away to the swim trials. Have you guys seen the Eiffel Tower right there on Georgia Street in Capitol?
Yeah, I've seen the last couple days. They're still putting it together. There's a bunch of, construction workers and police officers out there holding off. They were painting it yesterday when I drove back after the show. So they're still putting it together, but it looks pretty awesome, actually.
Do we know the height on that thing?
I thought I saw 66 feet.
Yeah, it's up there.
And obviously the thought there is, Paris for the 2024 Olympics. And we mentioned this yesterday, starting with Saturday at the swim trials, you will get multiple Olympians announced every night there. So I think that is a really cool aspect to it of if you are a fan and you're going to be in the building, you're going to see somebody realize their dream. And I don't know, maybe, I'm kind of a sucker for the Hollywood and the, drama, if you will, of it. I mean, to me, can you imagine the emotions? Lanes back-to-back next to each other. One person finishing second, goes to the Olympics, and then the other person finishes third.
Yeah, it's going to be wild because there's going to be elation in one and just complete heartbreak in the other.
Yeah, and then painting that story. I mean, seeing it live, obviously it'll be, I think it's on NBC every night as well.
Yeah.
So a great opportunity for our city to be showcased in that national spotlight.
What's going to happen to the Eiffel Tower when it's done? They're going to donate it to like a mini golf course, or like what happens to it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, great times,
Where's it go?
birdies. Yeah, I don't know. Is great time still in existence on the south side?
I don't know. Not sure. But like the Colts turf, when they get new turf, they donate to like a local high school and stuff. So where's the Eiffel Tower going?
That is right. I had no idea. I saw this yesterday. Shout out to Angela Morian from Wish TV. Did you know that Eli Lilly has a soccer field on their campus?
I did not.
Indy 11 went there and practiced yesterday and had a meet and greet with their employees.
Huh. Interesting.
Indy 11 maybe trying to get some
Yeah.
financial
Can we play
backing
here next year, maybe? I don't
on
know.
that end from
Yeah.
an 11 park standpoint. So I thought that was interesting.
Shake all the hands, kiss all the babies you can at this point.
Sure. All right, let's check it down before we got a pop quiz.
The Morning Checkdown. On 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Game 3 of the NBA Finals. It is tonight at 8:30. The Dallas Mavericks trying to climb back into this series, trying to get a little bit more into this game. Kristaps Porzingis for the Celtics, not looking good. Not looking good at all. He suffered a rare injury, they called it. Let's see if I can try to pronounce it again. A torn medial reticulum. I don't think that's even close, but it's in his left leg, not the right calf leg, that the injury that kept him out for 5 weeks. So they say he's game to game. I can't imagine if you have a rare injury in your other leg that you're going to be playing anytime soon. I think he's out for the series. So maybe that'll be the boost that the Dallas Mavericks need. They also would like to see Kyrie Irving show up to the series as well.
Does this shift things significantly?
I don't know if it shifts it significantly. I guess Game 3 will be, determining, I would say. Because if Boston just ends up winning anyway, then I would say absolutely not. But if Dallas wins decisively, then sure, maybe. We'll see.
I had Boston in 5.
I think I said Dallas in 6. So that's still on the docket. They have to obviously go on a run here. Bill, do you have a preference?
I definitely like Dallas tonight, and Porzingis is a big part of their team. But even without him, Boston defensively has really looked good, especially guarding both Luka and Kyrie. So I would say Boston in 6 or 7, but I think Dallas wins tonight.
I'd like a long series just in general. Let's not do sweep, or let's not do gentleman's sweep or anything like that. We need these NBA Finals to get going a little bit because it's been kind of a dull time at the moment. So again, tip off at 8:30. Celtics Mavericks Game 3 tonight.
How about this? You want another UT Martin grad here?
Yes.
Talk about people just aging well that go to UT Martin. Florida State head coach Leonard Hamilton.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
He's about 77, isn't he?
I was going to say, he's up there. He's a lot older than you think.
Older than 77?
Well, no, excuse me. He looks a lot younger than he
okay.
is. Sorry. I totally butchered that.
That's okay. Around the baseball diamond yesterday, all the local teams, they stink. The Cubs blew another small lead, lost to the Rays 5-2 with a walk-off home run by Brandon Lau. Reds lost to the Guardians 5-3. The White Sox stink. Brewers got shut out by the Blue Jays. The Cardinals lost, but gave Paul Skeens a standing ovation. Paul Skeens was outstanding yesterday. The Pirates beat the Cardinals 2-1. And the AAA affiliate of the Pirates, the Indianapolis Indians, they lost to the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp 2-1.
Heartbreaking fashion there. Speaking of shrimp, Joey Chestnut is out of the Nathan's hot dog eating contest on July 4th. We need a 30 for 30 on this. And frankly, we need Kobayashi to speak.
Well, Joey Chestnut and him still have a very legit beef and rivalry and everything. No pun intended. With
I was going to say, did you do that on purpose?
No, but I think they still, are on speaking terms. Kobayashi has retired apparently because he, wants to look out for his future and all that stuff. So we'll see. Again, counter program the Nathan's hot dog eating contest live stream. Get someone to sponsor it. Joey Chestnut live streams against the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Counter programs and challenges the winner.
Joey Chestnut announcing that he has partnered with Impossible Foods.
That was the more shocking thing of the day.
Is that like Mark McGwire fans learning he did steroids?
Is it, though? Is it the same? I think you kind of knew that.
I thought that was an Onion headline when I read it.
I did think it was an Onion headline. It is odd, but hey, where's the money at?
Now, Mark, your suggestion for July 4th for Joey Chestnut?
Yeah, counter program. Like I said, get a live stream sponsor. Whether it's on Twitch or something like that, live stream it, get a sponsorship deal. When the Nathan's hot dog eating contest starts, have Joey Chestnut in a separate room. He's off site. Maybe have one of the people that can flip the numbers of how many hot dogs he's eating, and just counter program and see how many more he does than the winner. I feel like the Nathan's hot dog eating contest this year, it's for second place. Let's be honest. Even if you win, that's the second best. You're going to have an asterisk next to your name.
The Coney Island MC guy is nuts.
Uh-huh.
That's one of my takeaways every year from it. Do you guys remember how many dogs Joey ate last year?
Was it 70? 73?
The world record is 76 in 01, or excuse me, 21. Nothing like coming off COVID and just down in 76 dogs. 62.
Okay.
For Mr. Chestnut last year. According to the New York Post, a source said Chestnut was paid $200,000 to appear in the Nathan's contest last year. He was offered a contract of 4 years and $1.2 million.
Yeah, sure. It's vegan hot dogs, but that's some nice money if you can get it. And if you're not actually contracted by Nathan's or Major League Eating, I really don't see the issue. But I can understand why Nathan's is a little standoffish that he's now sponsored by a rival hot dog company, that maybe he'd be wearing that, at the event. But hopefully they resolve it. That would be a sad start to the July 4th holiday.
Live streaming during the event is right from the Donald Trump playbook. I think that's a winning strategy in November.
Oh, certainly. Well, you could get Trump on stage. At times, I feel like that MC of the Coney Island guy, he's got some Trump in him with that. All right, Pacers workout today. Indiana's adopted son, Jack Golke.
I think the best hot dogs. There's no hot dogs better.
Exactly. Draft picks 36, 49, and 50 for the Indiana Pacers here. Again, this workout, very nondescript group. Golke, though, certainly a headliner. Jack Golke, does he play 1 minute in the NBA?
I don't think so.
I say yes.
Corbin, you're shaking your head no.
Somebody's going to give him some runs. Somebody will.
He can't even jump. No.
Well, tell that to Kentucky.
Yeah.
Right. How did Kentucky let him go off for 30 in that one? That performance was incredible.
It was. Those were really tough, on-the-move, fadeaway shots. Watching the replay of all 10 that went in, Kentucky's defense really wasn't bad. 8 of them were very, very contested. 2 might have been open, but
he's kind of got a funky
were bombs.
release. But man, that was absolutely wild from Jack Golke. Mark, anything else on your end?
No, nothing for me. I think we covered it all.
IndyCar wrapping up a testing hybrid-wise up in Milwaukee on that mile here today. All right, on the other side, it is time for the pop quiz. 4-pack of tickets to the U.S. swim trials. 317-239. The finals, yes, of the swim trials. That is what we're giving away on the pop quiz. 317-239-1070.
JMV for Moyer Fine
Pop Quiz with KB and Andy. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube, Indiana's favorite oil change since 1985.
Boy, we've got unbelievable drama today, boys. Are you ready for it?
Give it to me.
The Indiana High School Boys Golf State Finals. Day 2, the final day from Prairie View Golf Course, bumping up right up to Conner Prairie. We start day 2 with 8 teams within 6 shots of the lead.
Ooh.
Cannot stress enough how much drama that is. I don't know if we've ever had that in the history of the Golf State Finals.
Now, can you watch that anywhere? Is that readily available somewhere, or do you have to subscribe somewhere?
Greg Rakestraw would be the one to answer this question, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe they have the 18th hole streamed starting later today. Some years they've had audio, other years they've not. I prefer the dulcet tones of Greg Rakestraw.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anyone better than Rake?
I don't know.
How lucky are we to have Rake and Cotton then Rip in this city?
Yeah. Rake is just like I said, a garden hose of information. You turn him on, he sprays all fields.
Prep sports, just unbelievable. Good luck to all of our golfers out there here in the Boys Golf State Finals. All right, it's time for the pop quiz, 317-239-1070. Again, guest host Bill has been in studio with us today. Bill, you want to pick a number 1 through 8? 6. 6 for Bill. Corbin Lingenfelter, who we got?
We have Matt.
Hello, Matt.
How's it going?
Dear Lord, Matt, at the start there, I thought you were on a 747.
No, I'm good. How are you doing today?
Matt, we are great, man. Congrats on the 4-pack of tickets to the swim trials. Do you have any swim background?
I do not, but my daughter mentioned she'd like to go, so I was like, let me try this.
Look at that.
There you go.
Shout out there as someone with Rosie Bowen turning 4 today. Absolutely love that, Matt. We are happy we can make that work for you. All of us will throw the questions your way. Mark Dykton, lead us off.
All right. Name the only team in Major League Baseball that has not won at least 20 games this season. The Oakland Athletics, the Chicago White Sox, the Miami Marlins, or the Colorado Rockies?
Let's go to the White Sox.
Yeah.
Which team currently owns the best record in the WNBA? The Las Vegas Aces, the New York Liberty, the Connecticut Sun, or the Minnesota Lynx?
Connecticut.
Start here. Number 3, the NBA Finals resume tonight. Celtics up 2-0 over the Mavs. The Stanley Cup Final resumes tomorrow night. That's the Panthers up 2-0 over the Oilers in Edmonton. When is the last time that both the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Final ended in series sweeps in the same year? Matt, was that 95, 98, 83, or it's never happened?
This is a complete guess, but I'm going to say it's never happened.
Boy, that would absolutely stink if that happens in 2024. That would not be fun.
Good for the swim trials and that viewing, I guess, if we're trying to grasp at positives here.
All right, question 4. On this day in 1991, go in the Wayback Machine, the Chicago Bulls beat the LA Lakers to win the NBA Finals 4-1. Michael Jordan was named Finals MVP. The Bulls would go on to win 6 NBA championships in an 8-year span. Name a player other than Jordan to be named Finals MVP in Chicago's 6 championship wins. John Paxson, Scottie Pippen, Tony Kukoc, or Jordan won all 6 MVPs?
I believe Jordan won all 6.
Question 5. Joey Chestnut has been banned from next month's Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest. Joey Jaws has won 16 of the last 17 men's titles in the contest. Who is the last man, not named Joey Chestnut, to win the Nathan's hot dog eating contest? A. Takeru Kobayashi.
Takaru.
B. Matt Stoney. C. Tim Janis. Or D. Ed Jarvis.
I'm going to go with Kobayashi because I have no idea who those rest of them are.
Jarvis is the big dude, if I remember right. Yeah. Scotty's all over this one here. That was a pretty good effort there from Matt.
This is a very solid effort.
White Sox correct, right?
Correct. Yeah, they absolutely stink. They are 17-51.
Gosh,
they absolutely
so
stink.
Embarrassing. The Connecticut Sun 11-1 actually just had their first loss.
Mm-hmm.
That is where we heard her earlier, Jennifer Rosati, the president of the Sun. She's also the president of Team USA, and picking that, I should say, kind of the leader of that delegation. And then the fourth one he got right?
He's also correct. Jordan did win all 6 MVPs for the Chicago Bulls championships.
Matt Stoney for our non-Chestnut winner. Chestnut had to have been sick that day.
I don't know. Yeah, it says he beat Joey 62-60 in 2015.
I don't remember that.
He was a young pup back then.
It might have never happened.
I don't know.
In 95, the last time we had sweeps, that would be the Rockets over the Magic and the Devils beating the Red Wings.
Please, let's not have that in 2024.
Matt, stay on the line, though. You are winning a 4-pack of tickets to the swim trials. You guys venture to guess who is second right now in the individual golf state finals?
I would have no idea.
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore from Bloomington South. Happy on the birth certificate is Landon, but he has gone by Happy, I think, for the vast majority here of his young golfing career. Committed to what college?
Ball State.
Look at that.
But
Man, oh man.
Bill, are you a high school golfer?
I'm cheering for Garin Catholic today, the Catholic school from Carmel, going for a three-peat. Ryan Davis, athletic director, does a great job up there, and I think they're going to take it home.
How about Center Grove? 3 under through 3 here. This is unbelievable drama here in the high school golf scene, and I'm saying this in all seriousness. I cannot stress that enough. That would get us, on the map there. Happy Gilmore winning the individual golf state title. Braden Miller from Fairfield. Not familiar with Fairfield.
Is this kind of a pregame for you before the U.S. Open tomorrow?
This is. Scotty, where is Fairfield High School? Up north? Well, if Scotty has no idea, I've got no idea.
Scotty doesn't know. Who has any clue?
Goshen, Indiana. Is that the land of RVs? There we go. I've never heard of it. Michigan border there. Well, they've got some great golf courses up in that area. Fairfield. You ever ventured out to Prairie View Golf Course, either of you two?
I have not yet. Maybe this week. Maybe at some point. I've got nothing but time on my hands outside of a few doctor appointments.
Bill, your high school career ever lead you to Prairie View?
I played Prairie View both at the high school level and the recreational level. Played a lot of good golf at Prairie View.
Prairie View is a beautiful golf course there up in Carmel. All right, we'll close it out one final time here. This is the wake-up call. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
I need directions for paying down debt.
Starting route. Apply for a SoFi.
Well, no way to bring it up any other way than this, but we're getting some breaking news, some sad news to pass along. Hall of Famer, legendary
Hall of
basketball
Famer in
player,
all caps.
Jerry West has passed away at the age of 86 this morning.
Man, you talk about an unbelievable impact in the NBA. I mean, hell, he's the freaking logo. And honestly, he's one of those that you would fall into the player and executive category.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, certainly as a player, I mean, the resume, 10-time All-NBA first-teamer, 14-time All-Star.
I mean, isn't he in the Hall of Fame multiple times too?
Well, again, as
crazy
as an exec, you know what he had, did from a roster building standpoint there. On top of all of that, Bill, we got guest host Bill in here. He said during the break, didn't realize he was in bad health. He was one that always struck me as like every time you listen to him, you were like, man, he still seems like whatever, totally with it, totally together. And 86 years old, Jerry West. So, man, I feel like we've lost a lot here in the NBA world over the last few months on that end. So, I assume we'll get some sort of tribute coming up tonight before Game 3. Is that 8:30 tonight? Is that right?
8:30 tip, yeah.
8:30 tip tonight on that. So, yes, certainly rest in peace to the logo one, Jerry West. Again, thank you to our variety of guests today. We had Zack Apple on, a former, I should say not former, he is a gold medalist in the Olympics back in Tokyo, ahead of the swim trials coming up on Saturday. Always enjoy Tony Adr, talking some IU. Linn Dunn, outstanding per usual, ahead of the Fever and the Dream coming up tomorrow night. I thought pretty candid on the variety of topics we threw her way, Fever-related. Bill, I know you're a big IndyCar guy. They've got the Milwaukee test this weekend, or this week. Do you know anything about that? Is that just hybrid related?
Yeah, they say it's hybrid related.
So not necessarily for oval numbers, or just more of what seeing a hybrid on an oval. I guess is that what it is?
I think they're going to use it on all forms of races. It's a hybrid energy recovery and storage system. They use some button as they're using the brake.
Not the push to pass button.
Not
for
the push
Team
to
Penske?
pass, to build up energy to be able to use extra boost where they see fit. So I know it was a lot. The 1 mile Milwaukee Oval, it was a lot to get used to that and try to use it as you're flying around there yesterday. But it sounds like things really went well yesterday with it.
Have you guys watched 100 Days to Indy, or are you guys caught up on season 2 at all?
I'm not.
I have not. I don't get the CW on YouTube TV, so I'll have to find it.
The app is free, but you do have to sit through probably about 3 or 4 minutes of commercials. But we actually were watching it last night. I wanted to see how caught up I was. I really wanted to watch the Indy 500 episode, and I'm not caught up enough. But the episode that we watched last night, we were wrapping some of Rosie's birthday gifts, and all of a sudden we just kind of happened to be sitting there on the couch, and it was the episode about the infractions that Team Penske had back at the St. Pete race. And it was really, really interesting to watch Maddie's reaction to it as just kind of a casual fan. And she's sitting there watching it unfold. And, I mean, you're getting great raw emotion from Colton Herta and Pato O'Ward and Marcus Ericsson and all these other drivers to what they did. And Maddie was like, wow, I'm shocked this hasn't gotten more of a story. Like, I'm shocked that this didn't, get a little bit more traction. And, Bill, I know you obviously are a huge IndyCar, Indy 500 fan. I felt like if you just heard the crowd late in the 500 react to Pato O'Ward taking the lead versus Newgarden, maybe it was because Pato hasn't won before, but I felt a distinct difference between the cheer and jubilation for Pato versus a little bit more of a medium type of reaction for Newgarden. Did you feel that?
Yeah, I felt it a little, but I didn't hear the negativity when Joseph did win. Even on his parade lap, people were happy for him.
I mean, I'm not saying booze, but it just seemed a little bit more subdued.
A little more
hushed,
subdued.
yeah.
But, man, what an Indy 500 it was. Doug Bowles and team did such a fantastic job of keeping everybody updated throughout the day because of the weather. Got the race in, and what a race it was. I was so happy. We finished on green, didn't have any yellows from the back in those closing laps. And
that final stint was 30 laps of green?
That was
maybe more than that.
Unbelievable, and the best car won at the end of the day. And Joseph, he was a great champion last year. He's a great champion this year. That race means the world to him, and there's no better feeling as an Indy 500 fan than having the winner, it being the biggest deal in the world for the winner, and it's a big deal for Joseph.
It's been cool to see his emotion each of the last 2 years, especially last year, the first one, going in the crowd and everything. So, again, testing at Milwaukee, They are going to be at Laguna Seca coming up. Boy, that's going to be a hot one out there. That is a week from Sunday. I do like the 6 o'clock start time. That is on a Sunday. That's 6 Eastern here. Obviously, you've got the West Coast time there. I like it a little bit later. So it's a really, really busy month of July. For IndyCar, you got Mid-Ohio. You've got the doubleheader in Iowa. They'll go up to Toronto for that annual race. But the only thing left here in June is Laguna Seca coming up a week from Sunday.
Bill, you had some final thoughts, Purdue-wise, IU-wise?
Well, boy, do you need to tee him up at all?
I think I should. I mean, he's only in here for a few more minutes. You might as well.
I've heard from several Purdue fans how irate they have been at Bill's antics there.
You know, Purdue fans, I think Jalen Hood-Schifino just scored again. That'll give him 37 on the night.
That was an unbelievable performance.
I would like to talk to my IU faithful. So, you know, this past year wasn't our year. There were a lot of doubts and some people questioning our Hall of Fame head coach Mike Woodson, but he's got us back in order, bringing these transfers in, bringing the 5 stars in. But like I mentioned earlier, in my opinion, it is the best roster in the Big Ten in the last 20 years. You've got Ballo in the middle. He's the next Bill Russell. Miles Rice, our point guard. He's Nimhard. Carlisle, he's the next Drew Holiday. Goody coming off the bench. You
forgot him earlier.
Have Galloway coming off the bench, Newton coming off the bench, Landon Hatton, the big stretch 5. We have 10 guys. We finally at IU have 10 guys who can play. And guess what? Welcome to guard play in Bloomington. We have guys who can beat their guys off the dribble, make it easier on everyone else. We don't have to worry about Xavier Johnson as much this year. IU fans, listen to me here. Head to the Bahamas. Head to the road games. Fill up Assembly Hall. This is going to be a special year. We're going Final Four. We're going banner number 6. You know, This Is Indiana was written 12 years too early. Right now, we're finally knocking on the door, and we're going to get banner number 6 in 2024.
Let's kick some ass.
You have to buy some, like, Swiffers to knock the dust off of those other banners?
It's been a while.
I forgot about that song, This Is Indiana. Are you venturing to the Bahamas for that?
You know, wife and I and family still talking about it. There's a good chance. Luckily, you know, Ballo, we played Ballo out in Las Vegas 2 years ago. He had 15 points, 12 rebounds, absolutely kicked our tail, kicked TJD's tail. We were out there for that. I'm just excited he's on our team now.
You've been drinking coffee all morning. I don't smell bourbon, though, but that's what a couple people are asking if you're drinking something.
Bloomington Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
In that as well
So
there
that's
from
snake
Bill,
juice from the
diehard
500.
IU fan, filling in on this. I am looking forward to seeing how this looks. I don't Galloway coming off the bench.
Yes.
Part of this is kind of what we were talking with Tony Adr a little bit earlier. Is I'm really curious to see just the makeup because I thought at times last year I thought Mackenzie Mbako as the 4 was the best look, and you know there are also times where you could have said Malik Renew was your most consistent scorer. So that makeup of how Mike Woodson handles the Ballo, Mbako, and then Renew as well. To me, I just think Galloway's too valuable to bring off the bench.
You know, Mike's always said, though, it's about who finishes, not who starts, and you've got 9 guys capable of starting, and luckily there's so much competition, they're going to have to earn it every step along the way. I can see Galloway possibly starting, but, man, as a 6th man who plays 30 minutes a game, and he can play all 4 positions, hopefully his hand gets a little better, that shot gets back into form, and he can be unbelievable this year for us.
Did not have, coming off the year, I believe, of the worst Ken Palm rating since Tom Crean. I didn't have Final Four on the IU bingo card here.
You probably
today,
get pretty good odds on that, I would say.
That's where we're at with guest host Bill. Again, we looked at Purdue yesterday. We'll do Butler to round it out here. Pacers got a draft, but that'll be tomorrow on the Butler front. Pacers got a draft workout coming up later today. Jack Golke, the headliner in that list. Talked a little bit about Game 3 at all. Anything else Kyrie Irving wise? You see Luka got an injection yesterday?
No,
Yeah.
where did he get injected at?
Chest area.
Oh, I could. Don't ask Tyrod Taylor about chest
Well,
injections.
yeah,
Those can
I
go
hope
sideways.
it's not that. 2.5 point favorite, the Mavericks in that one. That is an 8:30 tip coming up here. Again, Boston is yet to lose on the road in the playoffs.
We should all be Mavericks fans tonight because I would like to see a long NBA Finals series. I don't want to see this go sweep or gentleman sweep.
You know,
Please.
From an entertainment standpoint, yeah, I would think there are some people here in Indianapolis that are very much rooting for a sweep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, I know that it's not on the same magnitude from a TV rating standpoint, but if you eliminate, you know what, Game 4 would be Friday, I think, and then Game 5, I believe, is Monday. So if this series extends, you're going to bump up against a little bit of the U.S. Olympic swim trials. Again, I know for a lot of people, they might not care necessarily about that, but if you want TV viewership to be as high as possible, you're rooting for a sweep on that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how much the hockey Stanley Cup final, ranks against that. I'm sure Brendan King would have a few thoughts on that. Diehard Panthers fan, but I think that is something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I would like to see a compelling NBA Finals series. I feel like we've kind of dragged through this NBA playoffs for the most part, and especially the long layoff in between the conference finals and the actual finals. I feel like it's kind of dulled it down a little bit. I would like to see a competitive series.
Tatum get going tonight?
I would rather see Kyrie get going, but yeah, I mean, they both need to step it up a little bit. Kristaps Porzingis, again, expected to be out. He's a game-to-game decision, but has a rare leg injury.
Bill, did you want Kanan Catchings? I'm not looking at these teams for Kanan Catchings. BYU, Tennessee, Florida State. Doesn't IU have an open scholarship?
I think we signed Hatton from Bellarmine. I don't know if that filled us up or not. I know there was some Catchings IU, talk there.
That would have been juicy.
Bit. But if I'm a high school kid, I want to go to Indiana. I want to play for Mike Whitson.
The high school recruiting has seemed to be a bit of an issue, right? Liam McNeely thought otherwise.
Yeah, that was a tough one. And I'm still cheering for Liam going to Connecticut. He's going to be a hell of a player for them. Connecticut's on a different level. Purdue learned that the hard way in the national championship. If it was anyone else, I'd be a little bit upset about it. But going to Connecticut right now, you're going to get right into the NBA, play on a great system. He'll do well there. But IU will do better than Connecticut this year.
What are your thoughts on Signetti?
Coach Signetti, Coach Pat Kuntz, two absolute legends. This is the way we need to tackle IU football. I was talking to the great Mike Petrie about it last week, and we need a coach who's gonna, take the bull by the horns. We don't need to love each other. We're done loving each other in Bloomington. Now let's play tackle football the old-fashioned way.
Singing doing the Glee Club.
Relentless.
Yeah, we need to be done with that. Coach Signetti has us headed in the right direction. We're going to win some games, and he's going to pull the whole university with him. I love that Pam Whitten, who's doing a great job as presidents. Those professors need to pipe down.
Whoa.
And I'm glad Pam,
aren't I one of them?
I'm glad Pam Whitten hired Coach Signetti, brought on Pat Kuntz, and we're a hard-nosed football team now.
I assume if you've had the basketball team in the Final Four, you've got them in a college football playoff game as well.
Certainly.
We're going to the Rose Bowl this year to play UCLA, and I expect
that's in the regular season, right?
I expect we'll be back there in the postseason.
8 home games for IU, isn't that right, this year?
Mm-hmm. It's a great schedule.
Favorable schedule on that end. Again, if you missed the news, certainly rest in peace to one of the absolute legends when it comes to the game of basketball. Jerry West passed at the age of 86. That announcement earlier here in the 9 o'clock hour, again, on and off the floor from an executive standpoint, certainly as a player standpoint. There's a reason that logo looks like it does. Thank you to Zack Apple. Thank you to Tony Adr. Thank you to Linn Dunn. Bill, hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you, guys. This was a thrill of a lifetime. Last thing I'd like to say, happy birthday to my younger brother, Pat Kennedy, turning 33 today.
Rosie Bowen turning 4. Happy birthday, Rosie Bowe. We'll be at it tomorrow. Thank you.
The Ride with JMV.
You got to get better rebounding.